I know it's a joke, but one can dream. So Don Jr. tweets out, hey, I got an idea, Elon, because there's this story about MSNBC being for sale. Elon says, how much? And then the internet responded. Joe Rogan said, if Elon Musk buys MSNBC, he will host Rachel Maddow's show, even wearing her glasses. So we're going to have fun on this Friday night. We're going to talk about all that stuff. We got a bunch of big news, too. Donald Trump has had his New York felony convictions suspended indefinitely. And the judge is going to allow him to file for dismissal of these charges, which will likely happen next. So it's going to get pretty fun tonight on this Friday night. So we'll talk about all that stuff. Before we get started, my friends, head over to preservegold.com/Timpool. You've heard me say it before. When it comes to physical precious metals, we love Preserve Gold. Our friends at Preserve Gold have an exclusive offer for my viewers right now where you can get up to $15,000 in free gold and silver with a qualified purchase, as well as a free guide. So go check them out on X. Preserve Gold has hundreds of 5-star reviews and millions of dollars in trusted transactions with happy clients. Again, head over to their X account or text Tim to 50505. The link is in the description below. And maybe you're paying attention to what's going on around the world because Russia's bragging about their new, well, the West is calling them IRBMs, but they're effectively intercontinental ballistic missiles. And war seems to be escalating. So take care of yourselves, guys. Shout out to Preserve Gold. Also, go to castbrew.com right now. Well, I got news for you. Everything is on sale. And we talked about it today. I said, is it too late for people to get cash brew in time for Thanksgiving? And the team said, no. I mean, if they order now or Monday, they might get it in time for Thanksgiving. So I said, okay, let's do a 30% off everything on the website. So if you go to the website right now, get whatever you want, put it in your cart. You will see a Happy Thanksgiving 30% off discount applied, whatever it is you get. It's not available for subscriptions, but it's available for any single product right now. And we're already starting to sell out. Colombian just sold out. And pick up your Cash Brew coffee. Also, head over to timcast.com, click Join Us, become a member to support our work directly, and you'll get access to the Discord server where you can hang out with like-minded individuals. There's pre-shows, there's after-shows, and they're wondering why you haven't signed up because they want to hang out with you. The Discord server, it's a chat room where you will see conversations with the audience. There's 20,000 people hanging out, fans of the show, and you should join. And I've got an announcement to make. Now, I was negotiating with Primetime Stein over here, and I said, if we get 3,000 members before Thanksgiving, will you go to Antarctica? And he said 5,000. I said, I'm going to hold you to this. And I said, 5,000 new members by Thanksgiving, and Alex has agreed to go to Antarctica. Now, hold on. We are actually having our developer build out a meter which will appear on the website and show you how many members we've added. And once we get to 5,000, this will fund Alex's trip to Antarctica, where he will make an attempt to prove that the Earth is flat. It's not, but that's what he's going to do.
It is. And on top of that, I would really appreciate it if you guys would subscribe. But Tim brought me into a room tonight, a very dark room, and he held a gun to my head. And he said, if I don't sell any more coffee, that we're going to have issues. And so please, if you love me and you love my family and you like my cat Sky Bear and you want them to have food, please, just for the love of God, buy some damn coffee.
Well,
I'm serious.
So the reality is this. On the front page of Casper right now, you'll notice Ian's Graphene Dream is no longer there, but Alex Stein's Primetime Grind is.
And then you're already trolling me because Ian sold more coffee than me. He's better than me. Guys, help me out. Please.
No one's trolling
crazy, dude. He's going to lock me here in West Virginia.
So for the specialty blends, Ian sold 5,350 bags of coffee. 5,000. Now, hold on. You've sold 2,200. I mean, you guys have sold some coffee here. So, anyway.
Sell some more. Buy some damn double caffeine coffee. I know you're tired. I know you're watching. You're tired as hell.
He's trying so hard. All right, everybody. Smash that like button. Share the show with everyone you know. Become a member, like I said, over at timcast.com. We are going to put up that tracker on Monday, but we should have updates periodically, and I genuinely mean it. I know it's a lot. If we do end up getting 5,000 new members, Alex Stein is going. We're covering it.
Yes,
we're going to
am.
Yeah. So again, smash the like button. Joining us tonight to talk about this and so much more is Amber Duke.
Hi. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be back.
Yes, absolutely. Who are you? What do you do?
I am the Washington editor for The Spectator and one of the co-hosts of Rising at the Hill. And I also host a show at Reason TV with Robbie Suave every week called Free Media.
I made a short segment talking about how you stormed off the show because you were called a Nazi.
I saw that.
It got like 700,000 views. People want to know what's going on. We'll talk about that. I want to
Great.
hear the story. Brett's hanging out.
What's going on, guys? Yep, Brett here. I am hosting Pop Culture Crisis Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but happy to talk about all this stuff tonight.
Alex?
Alex already.
You went out of order.
He's
Buy the
a
coffee.
guy.
I don't care about me. Just buy the damn coffee, please.
My name is Phil Labonte. I'm the lead singer of the heavy metal band All That Remains. I'm an anti-communist and a counter-revolutionary. Let's go.
So let's jump into the story here from The Telegraph. How much does it cost? Elon Musk hints he could buy left-wing MSNBC. The billionaire entrepreneur floating the idea will come as a bombshell for broadcasters, university professor says. And for anyone who's saying he's joking. We can all agree that Elon's joking, right?
I mean, joke. It's a very. What does joking mean, though? Because he will do something like buy X just for the lols.
Didn't we all think he was joking when he said he was going to buy X, and then he did it? We all thought he was joking when they were talking about Doge.
I think the fair point is that buying it would be the joke.
Yeah.
Right.
He's rich enough to do it.
I mean, what's the price they're talking about? A couple million, 5 million, something? I
is
mean,
that it?
No, they
10 million?
Gotta
pay
be more
Rachel
than that.
Maddow $30 million a year. Which
They
I-
just
they
cut her salary,
blow.
though.
I know, but
They
still,
blow
I
a
can't
lot
believe
of money
she gets
on
paid
Rachel
that.
Plus,
Maddow.
like, buying X was like a critical node in information warfare towards, leading up to the election. Buying MSNBC is not information anything because nobody watches it.
That's true.
Well, let me show you the tweet. So first, it starts with Wall Street Mav saying Comcast is putting MSNBC up for sale. Trump Jr. says, "Hey Elon Musk, I have the funniest idea ever." Elon says, "How much does it cost?" And then you get Elon Musk quote tweeting Autism Capital, quote tweeting him, and he says, "The most entertaining outcome, especially if ironic, is most likely." To which Joe Rogan said, "If you buy MSNBC, I would like Rachel Maddow's job. I will wear the same outfit and glasses, and I will tell the same lies." And then I got to give an honorable mention to Michael Knowles, who said, "If you guys need a replacement for Rachel Maddow, I know a guy."
I mean, it's good to see that there are people joining in the meme, but at the same time, it's not in any way outside of the realm of possibility. you know?
Imagine he does it, he buys it, and he's like, Joe, you start on Monday. He's like, crap.
Monday would be kind of rough. But I mean, the guy shot a car into space just because, I mean, it's like, well, I need
Allegedly.
well, if space is real, right?
space is even
if space
real.
is even
We
real.
haven't
He
confirmed
needed
that.
ballast for the rocket, so he decided to put, one of the super rare, what's it called? The not the S, the Roadster, into space with, I think it was a prototype of his android as well. So I mean, it's possible. I don't know that he's going to, but because I don't imagine that there's a significant built-in audience for MSNBC, and if he buys it, he's definitely going to change it. I imagine there'd probably be a bump for people being like, "Yo, what's going on in here?"
Look at this picture.
That is hilarious.
Is this real? Is that real?
Yeah, I think so. People have been saying that Michael Knowles looks like Rachel Maddow for like 10 years.
Well, when Michael first came on the show, we used to have drawings of all the guests, and our graphic artist Jessica drew a picture of Rachel Maddow, so that when they would come in, we'd be like, "We drew a picture of you. Can you please sign it?" For Michael Knowles, he opens up the little art book, and it's a picture of Rachel Maddow, and everyone laughed. He signed it. And I think behind it was the real one. I don't know if he actually signed the real one, so we hung up the Rachel Maddow picture with
That's
his
even
signature.
better.
That's way better, yeah. Rachel Maddow's actually pretty good. I mean, her politics stink, but she's a pretty good broadcaster, right? She's the star at MSNBC.
Well, I have to say, I enjoy her show. I do, because when she cries when Democrats lose, it's cathartic.
It is. It is. To see her suffer kind of feels good. But with MSNBC, though, did you see their ratings? The ratings book came out. And
yeah.
they're averaging like 75,000 viewers, and you get 80,000 viewers on YouTube. So I don't know. I mean,
Again, that doesn't square with $30 million contract for...
No, but the viewership that they have is not only has it been going down, but with Donald Trump in office and the general tenor of the country, there's still the people that are freaking out and have a massive problem with anyone to the right of Stalin. But aside from those people, the general kind of the zeitgeist is Donald Trump is not that bad. The left is worse was or would have been a worse option. So there's not really that market for people that are, running around with their hair on fire talking about how, the Nazi's going to be back in charge.
Well, Andrew Schultz had a good take that went viral where he said that you can be weird or you can be pretentious. You can't be both. And Democrats are both. Yeah. And it's like, yeah.
I think even for the people who are those dyed-in-the-wool, watch MSNBC and Rachel Maddow for the, ever-longing hope that she's going to take down Trump. Like, one of my favorite Rachel Maddow moments was when she had the Trump tax returns and she thought that this was going to end his presidency and it was a giant nothing burger. But since the election, their viewership's down like 35% or something. So I think even those people are super demoralized because they were dependent on the MSNBCs and CNNs of the world to tell them everything's going to be okay. We promise Kamala's going to win. Why would they even trust MSNBC anymore?
Do you know if it had been trending down leading up to the election?
It had
as well?
been, but on election night, MSNBC actually outpaced CNN for, I think, the first time ever.
Yes, but the argument was that conservatives wanted to watch MSNBC. And this is,
that's fair. I had MSNBC on.
Yes, conservatives all turned it on to watch them have a mental breakdown.
Just mine the salt.
Because Fox had like 2.5 million, MSNBC had 5, and it's because conservatives were like, show me the tears.
I mean, that's what I did. So I was at the final Trump rally in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and on election night, went back to the hotel pretty early because I had it on pretty good authority at like 10 o'clock that it was over. So I went back to the hotel with my husband, and we just made vodka sodas and watched MSNBC.
Yeah. I mean, the most entertaining outcome, huh?
The tone is also different now because a lot of these bigger businesses don't seem to have a problem with congratulating Trump. So David Zaslav did over at Warner Brothers, which, strikes a bit of a chord because back in the day, if you were running on these networks, you weren't allowed to even do that. It certainly wouldn't have happened in 2016, and with Jeff Bezos doing the same thing. Yeah. And there's also the news that came out that he said that there was no way Trump was going to win, and then had to eat crow about the whole situation.
He said that, he said that didn't happen. He responded directly to Elon. Didn't happen.
I am not sure that that's true because why else would he have stopped the Washington Post editorial board from endorsing Trump, right?
So what stopped him from? You mean endorsing Kamala?
Or endorsing Kamala, exactly.
So we talked about this, and it's my kind of intuition that everyone kind of felt like Trump was going to win, and I feel like a lot of people kind of have come to the realization that, look, all of the signs point to a Trump victory and a conservative victory, and the people that were, that wanted to get out ahead of it were like, we're not going to actually take Kamala's side. We're going to say that we're going to stay neutral. Now, it's not like he went and he said we're pro-Trump. He did just say They did just say that they were going to stay neutral, and they did receive a ton of hell for it.
They lost a lot of subscribers.
To their subscribers, that's the same thing. Not endorsing her is the same thing as endorsing him.
Yes, and so the point is, or the point that I feel like was being made was, it was social permission to, at the very least, not be a leftist, right? It was socially acceptable to say, you know what, I'm kind of done having to say the right thing or else getting hell for it. We're not even going to say that we're pro-Trump. We're just not going to say that we're pro-Kamala, and we're over that. And I feel like that's kind of, it was validated with the election, with how everywhere in the country, almost everywhere in the country, swung to the right to some degree. Even if it wasn't strongly to the right, there was some swing to the right. And I think because of that, all the people that were kind of afraid of, still afraid of saying, Trump's my guy or whatever, they were starting to. You saw you saw football players doing the Trump dance when they won, and it was multiple guys on multiple teams. And I think that speaks to the fact that people are just tired of the way the left behaves.
Even in Hollywood right now, so Variety does a thing called Actors on Actors, and this year Sebastian Stan, he's the Winter Soldier in Marvel, he did a movie called The Apprentice, which was basically
it was impossible to watch.
Yeah. So the point is when they were doing this Actors on Actors segment, which is basically where they all just circle jerk and talk about how great each other are, nobody wanted to do the show with him because it would require them to talk about Trump, and none of the other actors they've all wised up and realized that talking about it just isn't good for their career. Not like in 2016 when the best thing that you could be doing would be to be virtue signaling about how awful he is. And now they're even walking it back and saying, oh, we made this movie so that we could analyze what it's like to become become someone like that, which is not what they were doing the whole time they were promoting this movie. The director and the lead actor were both talking about how awful he was and how bad it was. So even they're walking it back ever so slightly.
It's been almost 10 years since Donald Trump first came down the escalator and stuff, and to me it seems like it's really, really, really fast. It's like it's gone by in a split second, but people have really just been worn out with the doom and gloom. Trump's going to do this, Trump's going to do that.
You can only say it so many times before they say, well, when is it going to happen?
Exactly. I was listening to another podcast today, and Cenk was on it, and he was talking about, he was like, oh, Trump's a fascist, et cetera, blah, blah, blah. And the hosts were pushing, well, what is it that he's going to do that's fascist? What are the things that you think? And all he could muster was deporting people, using the military to deport people, which whether or not you want the military to be used, that's something that I guess is open for discussion. But it's extremely popular. The idea of deporting people is extremely popular. And he also said, well, he's not going to step down. The guy's going to be 83 years old or 84 years old, something like that at the end of his term. He's not going to stay in power. And it's ridiculous to say that. So there was one thing that Cenk could come up with that was maybe had some validity. Maybe it is a little bad to use the military to deport people, but it's still a popular plan.
I agree. When they used the military to deport the migrants, to relocate the migrants on Martha's Vineyard, it was pure fascism, and we should be upset about that. Let's jump to this story from the Independent. Rachel Maddow takes hefty pay cut amid MSNBC uncertainty. They report MSNBC's mainstay Rachel Maddow's contract dipped. The popular anchor is going to go from $30 million to $25. Oh, wow. Ooh. That's tough. Oh man, I'm sure she's real upset over losing that five. Can you believe that they pay her $30
million? Maybe she'll care about inflation now.
Per year to be wrong all the time.
Is it per year?
That's what they said, right?
Per year, the length of the contract?
5-year contract. 5
oh,
years.
My bad. Okay.
I was like, because didn't they say that Whoopi was making $8 million at the View? If she's making,
is that true? Whoopi makes $8 million a year.
I mean, who knows whether we can actually confirm any of that stuff, right? But they were saying, around $8 million.
I'm really pissed that she's doing that sex strike.
Tell me, bro.
Nobody
say less.
Preach.
I mean, I love my girlfriend but man, if I had Whoopi Goldberg naked, dude, that's just Ted Danson hit it.
Oh God.
There's like a common meme that floats around on X now of like, would you rather sleep with a transgender woman or Whoopi Goldberg?
Well,
You're a straight man. I know your answer.
Well, Andrew Tate. Did you guys ever see that?
Oh yeah, the old one.
Let's talk not about something as disgusting.
You said that
so I got a question about Rachel Maddow's ratings. Do we know what her numbers are?
Well, she's technically trans in a way.
Do we know what her numbers are? Does anybody know?
I can't imagine they're more than like a million.
She is the highest rated show.
So so hold on. This
that
is,
hour always is.
What time is it?
9, I think.
Oh, is it 9?
Okay.
Yeah.
I can't find any modern numbers on her ratings. The point is she's getting $30 million for what I think she gets like maybe 100K in the key demo.
And I was going to say, she can't be in the key demo, right? She's not 18 to 49.
Fox
Everybody watching
outperforms
that's
all of them.
65 and older.
Yeah. Even Fox outperforms in the key demo now. Actually, they have been for the past 4 or 5 years, I think. And then CNN apparently is also taking steps to call some of their big talent. Like there was an article recently with pictures of Jake Tapper and Caitlin Collins with the warning that they were going to be firing some of these people who are making multi-million-dollar contracts because their ratings are even worse than MSNBC.
I remember that's David Zaslav, right? That's over there at Warner Brothers. So, tighten up ship.
Caitlin Collins sucks. I hope she gets fired.
She's getting $3 million. That's crazy.
It's absurd.
I used to work with her.
You did?
At the Daily Caller.
Well, she used to go on Fox News. She was conservative.
She started her career at the Daily Caller by writing articles for the Smoke Room, which is like the hot chick article thing that they did. And she had one where she was writing about Syrian refugees, but picking like really hot pictures of Syrian refugees. And if I remember correctly, the headline was something like, "These refugees are seriously hot. We take them in a heartbeat." And that was like the first, year of her career in media.
Yo, Rachel Maddow. So I got the ratings. In the key demo, she gets 80,000.
That is
not very good.
That's unfathomably bad.
Wow. Is that it? There's two. Well, I don't know if this is the key demo. It's 25 to 54. She gets 123,000, and in 18 to 49, it's 80,000, meaning 40,000 are what? Between 50 to 54?
Well, and you know the real conspiracy
or more actually.
behind all of this too is like they're worried about RFK getting in power because America is one of the only countries where pharmaceutical companies can actually run ads. In a lot of countries, it's illegal to do so.
It's very shocking to people who come here that we let them run ads.
Oh, dude, the other day, I've been seeing these ads my whole life, and it's like, is Zovasto right for you? And then it shows like a woman like do a backflip.
Happiest person you've ever
And then
seen
it's
in your
like,
life.
maybe you should take this drug. And I'm like, what does it do? And then it's like, ask your doctor if it's right for you. And I'm like, why? Why would I cold call my doctor? Is this drug I saw on TV something I should be taking? He's gonna be like, no.
And then as she's frolicking in the meadow, the woman, they start listing off the side effects, and it's like, may cause suicidal ideation, may cause you to
You
gain
could
300
die.
pounds. Yeah.
Vaginal bleeding.
Oh, no, legit. There was one where, I'm not kidding. It was like an IBS. No, it wasn't an IBS treatment. It was like some treatment for depression that caused potential IBS symptoms. And I'm like, wow. I mean,
Just make your depression worse.
Yeah, you're depressed and you're just shitting your pants.
is it going to make your social life like more miserable? Like, I don't know.
When it comes to the may cause this, may cause that, isn't it a situation where it's like one person out of the whole test group
Yeah,
had
they're
that?
legally
So
bound
because
to-
that happened, they have to say it. So it's like,
I feel I do have to argue.
It could be the inverse.
I'm asking.
All
Right.
medication has a side effect. Like as a matter of fact, that's the point of medicine. So that has a positive side effect, right? Like that's what you.
Of course, that's why you're taking.
So yeah, I mean, I don't think it's like those studies. Maybe one person had diarrhea, but I bet if they have to say it in those ads.
I mean, honestly,
Well, because it's the
No,
reason
no,
they
hold on,
say it
guys.
is
It has to be attributable, meaning in their testing,
Yeah.
it kept happening.
Okay.
If we give everybody beef jerky and then Alex is like, I gotta go to the bathroom, we can't attribute that to beef jerky. If we say, okay, in a week from now we're gonna try it again, and then once again Alex is like, I'm gotta go to the bathroom, we might be like, hey, every time he eats this. However, that still only proves that maybe he's allergic to something in the jerky.
And also remember, like they're not saying these things because they like actually care about you. They're saying these things so they don't get sued.
Right.
It's not like if they could cover it up, they will and probably have.
honestly, out of all the things that RFK could do if he holds office, if he's in power, talking about stuff like that, would be more than any change he could make to food regulation would be preventing ads from drug companies.
Yeah, it would kill.
They would
their
lobby
revenue.
beyond. Yeah, they would
Their
lobby
advertising dollars
beyond
would
hell
be-
for that.
Yeah.
Against that.
If they didn't have pharmaceutical ads, even Tucker talks about it, my biological stepfather, about how, literally Pfizer and Moderna, they are the #1 ad buyers for all of these companies.
Well, and tying this into the media as well, a lot of these companies advertise with big media conglomerates. So one of the things that was so stunning to me during the pandemic that a lot of people didn't notice was Politico's COVID newsletter was actually sponsored by Pharma.
Yeah.
Wow.
The first thing I noticed. Oh, go.
We were just talking to somebody on the show, and they said that they were at a network, and someone told them, "Hey, don't mention that because they're a big advertiser on the show, and we can't lose a sponsor." And then there was that montage, I guess you'd call it, or collage of all of the different media shows being like, "This episode of whatever news is brought to you by Pfizer, brought to you by Pfizer."
And even that, like, if you traveled during COVID, if you had to fly at all of the COVID response advertisements and billboards that were put up in airports were all sponsored by like hand sanitizer.
Well,
companies.
did you see that as soon as Trump announced RFK Jr. as HHS secretary, the pharma stocks all dropped?
Should have got in early.
I don't know if I wonder if that's held up though. I'm sure they've recovered once the news passes.
You saw You saw RFK eating those cheeseburgers.
Oh no, Pfizer's still down.
That was like a humiliation ritual.
That's what it was. Like, are you in the club? Will you eat the
Exactly.
Big Mac? Yeah.
It's like
Cool kids are all doing
Island,
it.
Donald Trump
He
is
ate
Big
the
Mac
burger,
Island.
dude.
What? Barely under protest.
No, I doubt it.
Secret Service, like, you have to eat that.
I don't think. Maybe he didn't, but like this idea that he was like, oh, McDonald's, oh, geez, oh, I can't eat it. And they took a picture of him like, ha, we got you. He's not come out and said, don't eat McDonald's. He said, I can't wait till they bring tallow back. I want to eat McDonald's.
Yeah.
Well, in California and the McDonald's, they have to have a cancer warning because of the French fries.
They're never going to bring back tallow RFK Jr. It's never coming back. And it's because vegetarians and religious folk are going to be like, we won't eat there anymore. So that's why they switched to, what are they?
It wasn't a
vegetable
profit
oil now.
reason. It wasn't
What
just
is it?
cheaper to
No,
do
it was just
the other way?
vegetarians. People were complaining because
But religious people. It was like,
religious
it
people,
was like
Muslim
Hindus.
people,
They were saying, I can't eat beef.
Oh,
Yeah.
And then vegetarians are like, it's not vegetarian, you can't have it. And so they end up switching. And now I go to restaurants. Try this. I kid you not. Go to a restaurant And if you're going to order anything fried, mozzarella sticks, chicken wings, onion rings, whatever, ask them what do they fry their the food in. And you know what they're going to tell you? I don't know. Now I'm going to ask you this. Any food item you've ever had at a restaurant, if someone said, we have this really great and it's $5 and they showed you this weird picture, if you said, well, what is it? And they went, I don't know. Would you eat it?
No.
Like, so
Well, what you
lot
just
of-
said sounded German anyways, so.
I'm just saying, like, you know, if there's some weird item,
good,
let's say it's called Timcast, and you're like, what is that? Like, we don't know. It tastes good though. I'd be like, yeah, probably shouldn't eat it if you don't know what it is. And so I've gone to a lot of places. Half the time they'll say, I don't know what we fry our food in. And I'm like, you realize I'm eating that, right? And then they'll say, let me go check. They'll go back and come back out and they'll say vegetable oil. And I say, which one? And they say, I don't know. I'm like, okay, well, can you check? And then they'll come back and ask me, like, we don't know. It's just called vegetable oil.
Yeah. Most of the time when you get like stuff that's fried, it's not specified what you're getting. It just says like vegetable oil. So you like,
Or it's like
Yeah,
a
when
mix with canola.
Yeah.
Or you're buying
canola,
it from, you're buying it from
soybeans.
Cisco, like
No,
bulk oil.
and what was it? There was what drink did we have here where we were talking about this in the show? It said, oh, no, I think this was Fruit Loops. It's like and or in the ingredients. Like it said various oils.
Yeah.
And it's like cottonseed and or soy. And I'm like, well, which one am I eating?
How do they get away with putting various in there? Like,
Right.
don't you have to name them?
Well, no, it didn't say various. Literally, it said and or. Let me see if I can
Okay.
pull it up.
Well, it is very weird too that our Fruit Loops have like 27 ingredients, but in Canada it's like 6.
That's not true. They have basically the same ingredients.
They have
But
different laws on how to
yeah, so
label it.
in the United States, we have red dye 40, yellow 5, blue 1, and then they have like blueberry derivative, carrot derivative. But we have, and this was the big story, butylated hydroxytoluene, BHT in it. So what is this? What website am I? Oh, in Australia. Actually, in Australia, their ingredients look way better. The natural colors are paprika, carmine, curcumin, vegetable carbon, and copper chlorophyll. Well, I don't know why it's sending me to Australia.
Chlorophyll, more like borophyll.
what's? I wonder
All right, hold on. Yeah, here we go.
is.
So when you look at the ingredients of Fruit Loops in the United States, it contains 2% or less of vegetable oil, parentheses, hydrogenated coconut, soybean, and or cottonseed. Well, which one? How can they create ingredients and they're like, the ingredients of this thing may include any one of these 3 things?
Depends on how we feel
What?
on that day.
Yeah.
Would you rather have seed oils or Puff Daddy's baby oil?
Well, I mean, you can't eat baby oil. It's like,
You can. It
Definitely,
tastes gross.
definitely seed
no,
oil.
I'm pretty sure you cannot.
Well, if you put it all over your naked body and you're doing.
All right, Alex.
I'm just saying it's possible
just
to eat
saying.
it. I'm not. I'm just.
Weren't we talking about like Rachel Maddows losing her
We're
job
talking
or
about
something?
Puff Daddy now.
Now we're talking about Fox News. We got this story from Fox News. New York judge grants Trump request to file motion to dismiss charges, cancels sentencing indefinitely. This Trump spokesman labels ruling as a decisive win for the president-elect. Well, Trump's still going to have to come after New York because indefinite delay in sentencing means as soon as he's not president anymore, he's going to be a very old man, and they're going to say, time to go to prison, sir. So he better get that civil rights investigation. I hope Pan Bondi is up for these investigations.
I mean, I think it speaks to, again, the stuff that we were talking about earlier. The consensus is Donald Trump is not the devil, and that it's going to be okay if we have him as the president. And there was the discussion we had about on the other day about one of the things that the exit polls were saying, Donald Trump voters were saying, the threat to democracy. That's probably part of it, is the abuse of the Justice Department at multiple levels, state and federal levels. People are like, look, this is really bad for the country. And I've said this multiple times on the show in the past week. Americans don't trust the Justice Department anymore. They used to, but they don't anymore. Right. And that's because of things like the Daniel Penny trial, which if you're plugged in, if you're in New York, I can't imagine you not being aware of it. Like in New York City, you have to be aware of that.
I would argue that probably most people in New York don't even realize what's happening to Daniel Penny.
You think so?
I mean, I'm just saying most people are just checked out. I mean, sorry to cut you off.
No, it's fine.
I just think most people probably don't even know. Like, if you went into somebody on the street and said, "Who is the vice president?" Not everybody would know it's Kamala Harris. Like, people are just checked out. But maybe in New York,
They'd say Joe Biden.
No, there was people that were like looking up. They said one of the top Google search results right before the election was, "Is Joe Biden still running?"
Yeah.
God.
That's what I'm saying. People are just disconnected. But you are right.
So
Everybody
you guys
should
are.
know about Daniel Penn.
Thank you for making the point that universal enfranchisement is a bad thing. Now, but my point being, if you're politically aware, you're definitely aware that like the Justice Department has been politicized at every level. If you're politically aware, you're aware that the government is essentially one party now. It's not like, I mean, 95% of DC voted for Kamala Harris, which is ridiculous because these people are supposed to be in charge and they're supposed to be smart, and they're running for someone that is totally, or they're voting for someone that is totally and clearly inept, only because they're of the same party. So they're literally just voting for the machine to run the government. They weren't voting for Kamala Harris because Kamala Harris wasn't actually making decisions. They were voting for Anthony Blinken and people like him to continue to run state, and people that at the DOD to continue to run the DOD. And I mean, that's most of the United States policy decisions are made between state, DOD, and CIA. You know, at least when it comes to international policy.
Or unelected bureaucrats. I mean,
Well, I mean, that's what they are.
Federal rulemaking through
Yep.
the departments. I mean, the EPA is a great example of this. And one of the greatest things that's happened to this country recently was the overturning of Chevron deference, where
Yep.
federal bureaucrats do not get this sort of carte blanche agreement that their interpretation of legislation is correct. You actually have to prove that you were trying to make rules that abided with the language in the legislation. And so Congress has to be more specific with their legislative writing now to make sure that it's enacted correctly.
Mm-hmm. Are you familiar with, this is a bit of a change of topic. Are you familiar with the situation in the Senate trying to get the amendments back on to be able to amend laws that are brought up in the Senate and stuff?
No.
So there was one of the reasons why, or one of the things that was going down with the confirmation of Thune was they were trying to get someone that would actually bring back the amendment process for bills that are brought up in Congress, because now everything in Congress is full bill up or down.
Oh,
That's
straight
it.
to vote. Yeah, I hear. Yeah,
It's completely and totally useless. You can't actually craft
Right.
policy. Everyone just tries to shove whatever they
Yeah.
can
and
into
it's all
every bill.
consensus in the smoke-filled room.
Yeah, and so it's not actually, like, they're not representing their constituents. They're not representing their states. They're just saying this bill, everything is omnibus, and it's all just garbage getting.
And then you get idiots saying, "Well, you don't support such and such because
Exactly.
you voted against this bill."
Yeah, which
when there's
has like a
50 other things in
bajillion-
it. Right?
Exactly.
Is that where like a majority of the pork barrel spending comes from?
Well, I mean, to a degree, yeah, because I mean, it has to go from it has to be approved by the Senate and the House to get to the president. Yes, but the way that bills are crafted now, and I don't think that it's the same in the House, but in the Senate, everything was omnibus bills, and so you just throw whatever in there, and it always ended up just like she was saying, just like it's always used as a weapon against other people. Well, you voted for this bad thing, and it's like, yeah, well, there were 30 things in that bill because we can't make amendments.
The bipartisan border bill, which was a total scam
Yeah,
by
exactly.
McConnell and James
Perfect
Langford, by
example.
the way, to throw Republicans under the bus on immigration ahead of the election. But that included a bunch of funding for Ukraine. So if you were, diametrically opposed to Ukraine funding and you would never vote for it no matter what the circumstances, even if you liked some of the things that were in the border part of the bill, that's a poison pill for you. You're not voting for that.
And then what it is like the media uses it against you because you vote against one thing very specifically, and they're like, well, this person voted for this, and then they plaster it all over headlines to make people look bad.
Exactly. And like she was saying, the border bill had all kinds of crap in it, but you heard multiple times on the campaign trail where Kamala Harris is like, oh, they voted against the comprehensive border bill, blah blah blah, and it's like it wasn't just this one bill; it was 1,700 different, not 1,700, I don't know what the actual number was, but it was umpteen different laws in there, and one of the things was going to be an amnesty program for all of the people in the United States currently, and the thing that Donald Trump is running on, and that's why Donald Trump said this is a bad bill, the thing that he was running on was deporting people. So the inability for the Senate to actually veto, lines or make amendments to say this we're taking out and stuff, that's taken all of the power away from the Senate. Like it really doesn't do its job anymore. And having that kind of policy back, having the ability to make those kind of changes and amendments is a big deal.
We need to repeal the 17th.
I completely agree.
Actually, no. What you need to do, Tim, is you need to apologize to Jussie Smollett for the lies that you said about him.
So let's repeal the 17th Amendment, which states that the senators are chosen by popular vote, and go back to your state legislatures deciding who's going to represent your state, which makes the most sense. And when we got off that system, it basically eliminated local politics and federalized everything. And now you get these commercials where a member of Congress goes, I'm going to clean up this district. Vote for me, and we're going to make these streets safer. And then they're like, I voted for you. And then they go to D.C. And you're like, oh, well, I thought you were going to have this district. You're like, yeah, from D.C. When I vote on federal spending for war budgets. And like, well, then who's going to clean up my town? Oh, that's your local rep, dude.
Well, or it's the opposite. And the local reps are now running on nationalized agendas where you have people being like, well, I'm running to stop Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And it's like,
that's not your job.
Yeah, like you represent Maryland 6. Why are you running against Joe Biden?
I think that to repeal the 17th would not only would it do the stuff that Tim's talking about, which I think is all good, but it would also take the argument away from the left that they constantly are making that, oh, it's not fair that South Dakota has 2 senators and California only has 2 senators when California has so many more people. It's a misdirection to, it's a means to misdirect ignorant people, right? People that don't understand that senators are supposed to represent the interest of the whole state, and all of the states have the same rights about the way that the federal government operates. They have the same number of representatives because they have the same rights. It's not about the population. And so when people are like, well, it's not fair that South Dakota doesn't have more senators or it's not fair that South Dakota has the same amount of senators as California. It's a really, really dumb thing that they're saying. And it takes that all away, because then they would have to learn, oh, wait a minute. This isn't how it operates. You don't even vote for your senator. So it doesn't matter to you. And if you want to affect who your senator is, then you actually have to vote for your legislature in your state, which is actually would force people, if they want to be politically active, it forces them to pay more attention to what's going on in their local, in their state. And that's the way it's supposed to be. And that would be a good thing, because your state is far more likely to have an impact on your life, your state and locality, than the federal government.
Yeah, and one of the few places where that actually took place recently was obviously in Virginia, when people were really involved in local elections because of what was happening with school boards. And I think Republicans across the country are taking note of that and trying to run more on local issues. But that was sort of the roadmap, and why you got groups like Moms for Liberty coming out, 1776 Project PAC, trying to get people to run for school board and other local offices, because when they saw how it affected their kids, they realized just how important those local issues were.
Yeah, and with the pandemic, we learned that the local governments are incredibly important when it came to opening back up. So, yeah, we overlook how important it is, the local jurisdiction.
And everyone was blaming Trump for state-level restrictions and lockdowns. Right. The libertarians were just angry with Trump, and I'm like, to be fair, Trump did go out and give that announcement 2 weeks slow the spread, but at a certain point, when people are upset about the lockdowns, he said this is a state-level thing, and the federal government can't intervene in this stuff.
Yeah, to blame President Trump is ridiculous. It wasn't his call, and it would be good to have the American people less ignorant about the way that our government works.
They also then used it against him when they said that he's his fault for the COVID response and tied that back to the economy when he wanted to keep the economy open, and they did not.
Let's jump to this story from The Wrap. MSNBC alters sickening Laken Riley killer headline after outrage online. The outlet's original headline said her killer never stood a chance before Jose Ibarra was convicted Thursday.
Unreal.
So here's the headline. It says, Laken Riley's killer never stood a chance. For all the political controversy surrounding Jose Ibarra, the outcome of this trial was never in doubt. Now, let me pause right quick. I'm seeing everybody on the right say, how dare they make this headline? I get it because it's MSNBC. It's being read as Laken Riley's killer never stood a chance, whereas I read it as he never stood a chance.
Yeah,
I don't see how it was.
I read it the same way you did.
Yeah, it says the outcome of the trial was never in doubt. The assumption many people are making is that MSNBC was saying it was unfair.
It was unfair, and he didn't.
But the article actually was saying this dude is guilty, and we all know it.
Well, and they did update the headline, right, to say that his guilt was never in doubt.
Right.
I mean, this just speaks to the fact that they don't understand how they're perceived now, right? Like maybe you get away with that headline if you're a more reputable outlet, but if you're not, nobody's giving you the benefit of the doubt.
If I tweeted Laken Riley's killer does not stand a chance in this trial, people would be like, he's going down. We know he's guilty.
Same words. If you had said he never stood a chance afterwards, it would still be taken the same way if you said that.
But MSNBC, as you state, is perceived a certain way. So everyone's looking at it like they're lamenting the fact that he's getting an unfair trial.
I mean,
Shouldn't be. I mean, look, I didn't listen to the audio tape, but I read about it, and it's gut wrenching just to hear, right? Like,
did you hear or did you see where Laken Riley's stepdad read the letter the journal that she wrote to her future husband?
No.
You didn't see this?
No.
Everybody,
Cry.
I mean, I didn't cry because I'm not a bitch, but I was emotional about it because when he was saying, she wrote in her journal, and like she starts it with like, I know this is weird that I'm doing this, but my pastor, said that this would be good and therapeutic. I forget exactly the word she used. And the fact that like she was this good of a person that she's doing a diary talking about her future husband, and a guy in the Tren de Arruga Venezuelan gang tried to rape her and did murder her. I mean, he deserves the death penalty, and I don't even like the death penalty. He deserves worse than the death penalty.
I have a brain full of terrible things. Like it is such a, it's so disgusting, and I know, and even if this wasn't the point, right? This wasn't the action. It wasn't to say, oh, the poor guy never stood a chance. Even if that wasn't what MSNBC was thinking it was, it should have been pretty. It should have. I mean, they got to have a copy editor.
Yeah, a better copy editor.
Say,
I'm like,
hey,
maybe give this one another run through.
Yeah, and the idea that, because there are people that still sympathize with him. There are absolutely people out there that sympathize with
asylum seeker.
How could you sympathize with that? I mean, I'm sure you're not wrong. If there's somebody out there that's crazy, but how could you sympathize with an illegal immigrant that murdered a young woman on a college campus?
Because they don't. First of all, they don't believe that illegal immigrants are wrong. They also probably wouldn't believe that he's actually a gang member. They'd say if he is, it's because he doesn't have any other options. It's because he doesn't have anything else he has no other option, so he had to, and that's how, he had to for protection, to protect himself, because if he doesn't, other gangs or whatever, they will make excuses forever.
The criminals are always the victims in the leftist mindset.
It's like the girl
Absolutely,
who got
and it is disgusting.
The girl who got her boyfriend got murdered in the mugging, and then she like befriended the guy who.
Oh, the guy that got stabbed. I was just talking about that with my girlfriend yesterday.
That stuff is pathological in America right now. That's born out of an extreme amount of leftist guilt that they have for being born in a wealthy country, and they will make excuses until the end of time for these types of things because they want to be thought of as more worldly and intelligent, and somehow to them that feels more layered when really what it is just insane.
Well, I want
toxic empathy.
Yeah, I want to say this because Dr. Umar says this. I think Dr. Umar is great, even though I don't agree with him on everything. But the reason why also leftists bring in a lot of illegal immigrants is that inherently or genetically, or I can't even think of the right word, is white people do feel guilty about slavery, so they're nicer to black people. But they didn't enslave Mexican people, so that's why they like using Mexican people, because they don't have that same white guilt. So that's why the border is supposedly being flooded. I didn't say this, Dr. Umar said this, but that kind of makes sense that there is a guilt that you don't associate with Mexicans, so you can work them harder. You don't care. You don't, you can almost use them like cattle.
Well, look at all the celebrities. Look at all the celebrities who are still saying like, who's going to work in the fields if they're not here?
That's what
like
they
say
You
that,
are going to be our
and they
indentured servants now.
They don't understand. Like you want, and you don't even realize. This is crazy. You don't realize that what you want is a permanent slave class, and you believe that you want that out of a sense of empathy, and nowhere along the path of that thought process does it occur to them that they're advocating for essentially the same thing that they criticize America's founding on.
And these people are the same people that will share memes that talk about, oh, look, the Democrats go to college and they're the smart ones. They're the exact same people. They have no self-awareness at all. But they're the ones that are always condescending to people that they disagree with. They think that they're superior to other people, and that's part of why they think, oh, these people should be doing these jobs because they believe that they are better than them.
It's so ironic, too, that these are often the same people on the progressive left who are anti-corporate, who talk about economic populism, but they somehow have this massive cognitive dissonance where they completely ignore the fact that their immigration policy enriches and benefits corporations more than anybody else.
Yeah. It does do that. And there is an amount of guilt or responsibility that the right holds, because they have been like, the Rotary clubs and stuff like that are like, oh no, we got to keep the borders open and blah blah blah. And it's funny because it was like Bernie Sanders, who's as far left as you get in Congress or in the Senate, and he was saying that open borders is a Koch brothers scheme, who is about as
like 10 years ago,
and
15 years ago, not that long ago.
And to be honest with you, like, I don't know for sure if it's a Koch brothers scheme or not, but it is.
It probably is.
They definitely support it.
It is something that big business has supported because they can get cheap labor.
What they would do is they'd advertise in Mexico, come work in the United States, we have jobs for you. They'd bring people up, have them work in these factories, and then just before payday, they would call ICE and have them all deported and spend no money.
Oh,
that's genius.
The New York Times also, they ran
very evil.
They ran an investigation earlier this year, and I was actually surprised they did it. It was a full 2-page spread in their Sunday edition, but about the migrant children who were working illegally as well for a lot of these big companies. I think Kellogg's was one of them, working in the factories for, pennies, basically not only the indentured servants, but also violating child labor laws. It was like something like hundreds of thousands of migrant children just working in factories in the U.S.
I want to clarify, too. I wasn't saying Koch brothers were doing that, because I don't know if I said there are companies that did it. I want to make sure I wasn't saying, I don't know that the Koch brothers specifically were doing anything like that, but there was a documentary, I think it was like 20 years ago, talking about how various companies that work in the South knew they could bring in illegal immigrants to work illegally, and then instead of paying them, they just have ICE come and take them away.
That's just evil.
Yeah.
Just evil.
And remember, they will also tie it back to racism when it's a straw man argument, not understanding that anybody on the right who cares about immigration will say, look, I don't care the color of the skin of the person who's coming in illegally. Yep. I don't want them coming in illegally at all from anywhere. Yep. And again, they tied this all back to identity politics, into the progressive stack. Whoever is what they perceive as the most oppressed is the most likely for them to be given a pass for bad behavior.
Yeah, Americans don't realize that as much as we have a lot of people that think that we're a right-leaning country and stuff, we're actually steeped in a lot of Marxism. Like that's just that people don't realize, because the names or the words that are used have been changed from the words that Marx himself used, but the concepts are very similar.
All of those things that we just talked about here are all shown in television shows pushed through Hollywood. Yep. So the idea that anyone from another country comes in and would commit a crime would never be shown at all. They would be shown as being taken advantage of by a white business owner and all of these things. And so they're never actually shown examples in popular culture of what the risks are of when it goes wrong. What happens to someone like Laken Riley? Because no story editor is going to touch that. No one's going to write that script. It's never going to happen. So unless they actually venture outside the bubble they live in, which is Hollywood media, mainstream media, they're never going to know these things happen. So it's kind of a losing argument, because depending on where you get your news and your information, you are living in a completely different reality than someone who is extremely political and consumes information elsewhere.
And bringing this back to the border bill for a second, because there was another tragic case that happened over the past year with Jocelyn Nungare, who was, I believe, a 13-year-old in Texas. She was raped and murdered by 2 illegal immigrants. And the mechanics of the border bill are that they are providing more resources at the border, but not to secure it, but to process illegals at a faster rate. And both of those individuals who committed that crime against Jocelyn Nungare were processed at the southern border. They had been stopped by Border Patrol and then were allowed to go into the country. One of them had like an ankle monitor on. The other one just had a court date, and they committed this crime. So the problem is obviously not the processing speed. It's the fact that you don't turn them away.
Yeah, no, I interviewed Alexis Nungaray, Jocelyn's mom, and that's just such a sad story that, she went out of her house, I think she was 13, I believe, and she like kind of snuck out of her house, and 2 Venezuelan gang members brutally raped her and murdered her, and she was found with no pants on. And that's all because of illegal immigration. I mean, I hate to just point all of it, to blame it all on illegal immigration, but you really can, because if they weren't here, she would still be alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's jump to this tweet we got from Colin Rugg. This one's great. Joe Rogan rips the Biden administration for escalating the war in Ukraine with just 2 months left in office, tells Zelensky F you. They're trying to tug the tail of a sleeping dragon. He argued Biden shouldn't be allowed to escalate a war when the American people voted for a new administration. He says, how are you allowed to do that when you're on the way out? Zelensky says Putin is terrified. F you, man. F you, people. We voted Trump in, and his idea to stop all this, hopefully he can do that. So it's really amazing. I'm seeing people point this out. Rogan's just gone overt.
Yep.
He's now just saying it straight up, and I respect it.
A lot of places that got fucked up by incompetent people.
I don't know. I just feel safer knowing, like...
Pull this microphone with your face.
I feel safer knowing that Trump is in office.
I do too.
I feel great about it. Like,
Wow.
I just
What I don't feel safer is right now they're launching missiles into
That's
Russia.
fucked up. Yeah.
How are you allowed to do that when you're on the way out? Like, the people don't want you to be there anymore. There should be like some sort of a pause for like significant actions that could potentially start World War III. Maybe that would be a good thing that we would like to avoid from a dying former president.
Yo, man, I think Rogan coming out at the last minute to knock it out of the park, endorsing Donald Trump, and now I'm not sure who his guest is. I don't know if you guys know who that is, but, saying he feels safer under Trump.
Storch.
Who is it?
He's a legendary hip hop producer.
Oh, right on. To say he feels safer under Donald Trump, and mad respect to Joe Rogan for making that endorsement. Now we're seeing all of these different people come out and say, actually, Trump's not that bad.
Yeah.
You've got Bill Maher. You've got Jon Stewart. Jon Stewart said this election was a repudiation of a bureaucracy that wasn't providing for the people. And I'm like, these people before the election were saying Trump's going to lose, he can't win. Now they're coming out saying, Democrats are all bad and all that. But as for Joe Rogan coming out and calling out the war and the war machine, what they're trying to do, I think I'm feeling pretty confident that this is going to de-escalate.
I don't know for sure the exact mechanism to prevent things like what's going on in Ukraine, because Congress did vote to fund it, right? So whether or not we agree with it, Congress actually has passed funding bills to do this. But when it comes to actual assistance from the United States, like, because these missiles apparently or allegedly they need the Ukrainians can't do it themselves, if I understand correctly. So if they need assistance from the United States, that's something that is beyond funding. I feel like that should have some kind of some additional vote from Congress, first of all. And second of all, if not, would it fall under the, and maybe you'll know this, Amber, would it fall under the War Powers Act? Or
nobody uses that anymore.
No one does. I know, but the point is,
but the long-range missiles did have to be explicitly authorized by Joe Biden, and I find the timing of it all incredibly interesting because it cuts against everything the administration is claiming, because their argument for why they decided to allow the authorization now was because North Korea had 10,000 troops moving into Russia to help fight against Ukraine. But that happened. That was first reported publicly, which means the administration knew about it probably weeks before that, on October 30th. He did not give the authorization until, the beginning of this week? So 3 to 4 weeks later than the media reported it, probably months since the Biden administration knew about it. Why would you wait that long if the North Korean troops was really the reason why you're doing it? And the reason is obviously because it's not. It's because it's intended to prevent Trump from negotiating peace as soon as he gets in office, delaying it because now we're at a higher level of escalation.
I wish that there was more procedure that was necessary for, so that way you could have the legislature actually putting the brakes on this.
Yeah, that should be the case. Absolutely.
Because something like that, something that is as dangerous as this, Russia responded with the IRBMs, which is the first time that any kind of missile like that's been used. And thankfully they decided not to use, I don't even know if they were actually using warheads or if it was just the kinetic energy of the reentry vehicles. I don't know, because when you saw the video, it didn't look like there was big explosions as well. But either way, using that kind of weapon, that was definitely a signal to the West, like, hey, we're in a position where, you know, these kind of things are going to be put on the these kind of weapons are going to be put on the table. That was unprecedented, and that's something that the United States and NATO should look at and take seriously. And I don't think that the response should be continue to shovel money into the Ukraine and continue to help when there is when there's a new administration coming in, and it clearly has a mandate. Like the people don't want, the American people don't want this. The American people might say, we want to go ahead and support Ukraine with some funding. Maybe the American people would be fine with that, but they certainly aren't going to be like, okay, we need to go and start attacking Russia and shooting missiles into Russia, which is only going to make Russia feel like they have to, you know, escalate themselves.
It also feels like it bookends in a way, like, so they screwed all up on purpose before Trump gets in office, just, you know, to prevent him from being able to negotiate peace at a faster rate, just like he negotiates the Afghanistan troop withdrawal, and then they manage to screw that up as soon as it happens, and then they still take credit for it, even though it didn't go the way it was supposed to.
I mean,
so I was actually at the State Department a couple of times related to the negotiation process to hear kind of how that was going with the Taliban. And it was very clear. There were specific things that the Taliban had to do in order for the next phase of the withdrawal to happen. And there were like 3 or 4 phases, if I recall correctly. I mean, it's all publicly reported now, so I'm not like speaking out of pocket here. But there was at one point where the Taliban wasn't meeting their goals and Trump stopped. Like, he didn't progress to the next stage. And I believe he called one of the commanders of the Taliban and was like, hey, like, I will actually go backwards if you keep doing this. And when Biden came in, because he wanted this symbolic date of withdrawing September 11th, just completely ignored all of the guardrails that were in the Trump plan. But then conveniently, when they were selling this to the media, well, it was Trump's plan that we were following it. Okay, but you took like the bare bones of Trump's plan, which is withdraw, and took out all of the necessary steps that had to be abided by in order for that process to go through without 13 Americans being killed in a suicide bombing at Kabul airport, without surrendering billions of dollars of equipment in Bagram and all of the other boneheaded things that anyone with a lick of common sense would have avoided doing.
Yeah, I mean, to blame Trump for the withdrawal in Afghanistan is one of the more despicable political things that the Biden administration did. It was clear that whether or not people, you know, like the situation going on in Afghanistan, there was a plan that wasn't just like, you know, everybody run away.
Right.
You know, I mean, not that I'm familiar or well versed in what Trump's plan was when it comes to the withdrawal, but he had a timeline, he had stuff, and Joe Biden, when he got into office, it wasn't just Afghanistan, it was anything that Donald Trump touched. He just rescinded all these executive orders, the Remain in Mexico policy, all these things that had massive negative consequences to the United States. The influx of people. Joe Biden on the campaign trail while he was doing a debate with Trump said, you know, we want to see a surge at the border. We want to see people come to the border. Like, what on earth are you thinking, old man? Like, why are you telling people to come to the United States illegally? This is complete madness. And we've seen, obviously, the terrible consequences of that. So the whole blaming of Trump is one of the most politically irresponsible things that the Biden administration had done.
Yeah, and they blame him for inflation too.
Of course.
Well, and you know, we created the Taliban. We created the Mujahideen, and we armed these Afghanistan rebels to fight the Russians originally, and then it kind of just spiraled to ISIS and Taliban. So in a way, we kind of need the boogeyman, and the way that they left there is just keeping the Taliban intact, and then they have all of our weapons, and they could probably sell them to other countries. So I don't know. I think it's like all just kind of a facade that we're even fighting them. Like, basically, we kind of need the Taliban to exist, so we have a boogeyman to go and invade these countries.
Well, I mean, my personal understanding is a little bit, or my understanding of it, it's a little more complex than that. Like, when it comes to like the Soviet Union and their presence in in Afghanistan, the Mujahideen was going to be there regardless of the United States army.
Yeah, but we did arm the Mujahideen.
They did, absolutely, but they armed them with stingers to shoot down helicopters. That was the big thing that the U.S. did, was give them
We fought a
the
proxy
ability.
war against Russia through Afghanistan.
Yeah, and the reason they did it is because of the Vietnam War, because the United States looked at Russia and China's helping Vietnam against the United States in the Vietnam War. But like it wasn't just that the Mujahideen wouldn't have fought back. Like, the Mujahideen would have been fighting the Russians because that's the way that they behaved with us. Like, when the United States was there, the Mujahideen were fighting us. They would have continued. And Afghanistan, everyone said, like, for all of history, Afghanistan's the place that empires go to die. They stopped Alexander the Great in Afghanistan. You know, it's like that's something that, like, nobody's ever been able to actually take Afghanistan from the population there.
Let's jump to this story. Speaking of Joe Biden saying surge the border, we now have this Denver mayor threatening to deploy cops and 50,000 residents in Tiananmen Square-like moment to stop Trump's mass deportations. So you've got Donald Trump and Tom Homan and many Republicans being like, hey, Tren de Aragua is really, really bad. Maybe we should go and start deporting these people. And the Denver mayor is like, no, we will line up in defiance of law and order. I have to assume that perhaps the people in these places like Denver that vote for a man like this while simultaneously complaining about crime, they are perhaps developmentally disabled.
Well, and you know, Denver's like 90% white people too.
Well, a lot of people who fled from California because of how bad it got then vote in the same thing because they are in a cult. And then the mayor comes out and backs the cult narrative.
They don't understand cause and effect. I think that's the number one problem there.
Also, if you've ever flown into Denver, you smell the weed immediately. So I'm sure that's not helping.
Well, when I
smell
flew,
it as you're actually
As soon as you step off the plane.
Not even like it's coming in.
My bigger concern in flying in Denver is, you know, the underground base full of the lizards.
Yeah,
True, that's
the
true.
Illuminati, and we know that that's
Yeah.
true. And if you look at their runway,
The view is going to be like, this Alex Stein guy thinks there's actually lizards under the airport.
What do you mean?
Maybe-
Thinks
well,
he
that
knows?
horse is
He
demonic.
knows.
they have a big statue called Lucifer. It's this
Yeah.
big horse, and that it killed
With
the
the red
sculptor.
eyes.
It landed, it fell on him.
Landed on it, and so that's kind of weird that the sculpture.
That's a demonic sculpture.
It's called Lucifer. It is a demonic.
Yeah.
I mean, it's literally named after Lucifer.
But you can also tell just by looking at it. Like
with
it
the
looks
red
evil.
eyes and the blue.
Yeah, glowing red eyes. People think that there's like 8 sub-basements under the Denver airport.
There is.
And it connects to subterranean cities of lizard people.
Probably. Nancy Pelosi under there.
That's where she's from.
Well,
If she tried to pronounce the name of the city she was born in, you would understand it. It would come out like a string of garbled gurgles.
Well, I'll tell you this much. There's a lot of weird stuff at that airport. The fact that Denver's a big city, but it's not that big, and the airport's like 30 minutes like
airport.
outside of the city. It's just, there's something weird. And then if you
I got a theory for
look
you.
at the runways. Look at the runways. They're in
It's a
the shape of
swastika.
a swastika.
Yeah, but I got a better theory for you. You know, whenever people come up with conspiracy theories, I'm like, oh, I got a conspiracy. It's going to blow your mind. Contractors colluded with government for exorbitant contracts to build an airport they didn't need. That's why it, because
Oh, Tim.
there's it's funny because I'm reading the Denver airport stuff and it's like, did you know that there are tunnels that never finished that seem to go nowhere? And I'm like, yes, that's called the construction company.
That's all of California's light rails.
Is right.
It just stops in the middle of the.
Yeah, that's called the government's like, we're gonna pay $500 million for a train track, and they're like, sure, and they just run into a wall.
Yeah,
Bro,
well, I guess
look-
they spend like $10 billion and only build one charging station.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about.
I know. I get
And,
that
and
that
now hold on.
happens.
How about we go the inverse? When they spend $10 billion and get one charging station, we assume it's government like waste and abuse or whatever. But if there are people who legit think there's like lizard people under Denver airport, can we apply the same treatment to the charging stations and say, no. They didn't spend $10 billion on one charging station. Under that charging station, they built a subterranean network of cities full of lizard people.
Yeah. It's like a powering station for all of them.
Well, you know why Tim's doing this? Because Tim's wealthy, so he probably gets to go to that underground
Yeah.
bunker.
Oh, I've
None
been
of us
there,
get to go. That's what I'm saying. None of us get to go. Maybe Phil, I doubt it. But
No,
Tim
it's the
gets
North
to
Pole.
go.
When you're rich, you get to go to the North Pole, and the plane actually just, right when you're going to the North Pole, the plane just dips down, and all the water is funneling into a hole. And
Yeah,
once you
inner
go
Earth.
through,
Yeah.
you're in the hollow earth where there's a sun in the center, and then there's cities all. It's actually filled with a more advanced civilization of humans, and we largely just mock you.
Like
you know,
the
it's-
Morlocks?
Yes, but there's a sun in there, so they look like regular people.
Okay.
They're just better than everyone.
Good.
And once your net worth exceeds $1 million, you're invited.
You get like a letter slipped under your door.
Yeah, that's too low.
Yeah,
It does have to be
more
more
than
than
that. But yeah, Tim, you get to go to the underground bunker where Serge and I are just going to be out here facing nuclear threat. So thanks a lot, Tim, for not.
Well,
fighting.
at least you won't have to deal with 50,000 residents in Denver standing up and linking arms like a Tiananmen Square standoff.
I mean, if this is actually like, I can't fathom how a politician survives, considering that there's the the Aragua gang taking over
But
apartment
Denver went
complexes.
blue, right? Denver or
But even
Colorado went blue, right?
Even still, like
Colorado goes blue in the middle of the apartment complex takeover. If that doesn't stop you from voting blue, then nothing will.
I'm not sure if they. I'm not. Well, I guess they probably did. But I mean, it blows my mind that people are that. I don't know if it's complacent.
They are.
Or if they're that uninformed, or they're just like, oh, that could never happen to me.
It's a lack of understanding of cause and effect. It's the same thing that Tim was talking about earlier. When you leave California because the policies are harming your ability to make a living, and you move to another state and you vote for those same policies again, and you're shocked at the fact that the things that went wrong there are starting to go wrong where you've moved now, and they don't actually realize that it's actually their own fault.
I mean, we see that in New Hampshire, people that move from Massachusetts, and there's signs that say don't mass up New Hampshire and stuff like that, because it does happen. People move from Massachusetts, and I'm one of the people that moved from Massachusetts, but I left Massachusetts because I had been voting a certain way, and it didn't matter because I was always being outvoted. So I wanted to get away from the taxes, and I wanted to get away from the oppressive laws and stuff. And so when I moved to New Hampshire, I didn't go there and vote for the Democrat politicians, and I didn't go there and vote for to have more laws. But so I'm familiar with the situation, or with the phenomenon. But at the same time, like, you'd think when they literally have buildings being taken over, you'd think they'd be like, hey, maybe we should worry about, maybe if the federal government says we're going to come in and try and get the illegal gangs, the illegal migrants that are in gangs out, we're not going to allow our mayor to prevent that.
A lot of them think it's fake though, because when it first happened, remember the mayor came out and several local officials came out and they said that this is fake news. It wasn't happening. And then they had literal videos of the people going door to door with their assault rifles, as the left calls them, trying to take over apartments. And then suddenly when the right talked about it, they were racist for talking about it. Like a lot of people just hear the initial rejection from their politician and run with that. And that's it. And they don't investigate any further.
It's mind-blowing. I mean, I'm kind of without words.
I know. And there was a whole narrative, by the way, when Texas decided to erect razor wire on their side of the Rio Grande River. No, you can't do that because immigration's a federal issue. The Biden administration literally sued them. Yep. And even when they won, by the way, they didn't go in and take down the razor wire because they realized it was actually helping them to help curb people coming into those sectors. But now all of a sudden, these states, this and Maura Healey are talking about how they're going to use their local law enforcement to stop Trump from carrying out deportations. Now suddenly immigration's a local issue again, right?
It's always funny when they advocate endlessly for federal involvement unless it's something that... The same thing happened during 2020 when Trump offered National Guard help to various states like Minnesota and said, look, you guys are getting overrun with looting and rioting. Let me help. And they say, well, that would make him look good. So what we'll do is we'll paint him as a fascist. We'll say we don't want federal authority here, except for any other time when it suits their ends, they do.
And it's the same thing with the courts, right? They loved judicial activism until the Supreme Court was suddenly majority conservative. And all of this tells you is that it's not really about anything policy related. It's just power.
Yep.
And you guys think, America's not doing very good, and I would agree with that. But I was recently on a Royal Caribbean cruise to Labadee, Haiti. And Haiti's beautiful. There's no Haitians. There's like 2 Haitians there. You can just...
And crime's down in Venezuela.
As I'm saying, there's no crime in Venezuela. It's a great place. Go to Caracas right now. You can just leave your wallet out on the beach. So, those countries are doing great. So maybe we should migrate down there.
Because they're all in Ohio.
Yeah, I know. Eating the cats, eating the dogs.
Did you have any barbecue when you were in Haiti?
No, I did not because I'm a plant-based pimp. But
are you plant-based?
I am plant-based.
I didn't
think
know
that's
that.
why I'm so fat, because I just eat so many damn carbs. But with the illegal immigration, I do want to see Donald Trump do the mass deportations. But did you see he was speaking, I think, with Mike Johnson at Mar-a-Lago, where he said he is going to let a lot of people in. So I don't think immigration is going to stop whatsoever. Like, I think it'll just be the people will be vetted.
It's going to be legally.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I am,
That's great.
but I
That's
am
fantastic.
curious on that because there were attempts to curb some legal immigration during the first term, but they were all stopped by his son-in-law Jared Kushner, who's not supposedly involved in the administration this
I
time.
said I heard
so
that's a lie. Alex
he's apparently
Jones-
helping with the transition team, but he's not going to be working in a explicit role in the White House. But I mean, we'll see.
I mean, if he's in the White, he's the guy that did the Abraham Accords. So I mean, he's not a dummy.
No, he's not
very
dumb.
smart.
But that's part of the problem is because for things like that, Middle East peace, like, okay, great. Run wild, Jared, have fun. But they're Democrats when it comes to a lot of him and Ivanka are Democrats when it comes to a lot of Trump's domestic agenda.
I have more issue with Ivanka than I do with Kushner myself, but
Really, see, this is my one issue with Kushner, and gosh, I hope this doesn't bite me in the butt, but I did think it was very weird. You know what Jared Kushner's dad did to get in trouble that he needed to be pardoned for Trump? Jared Kushner's dad filmed his brother-in-law cheating on his sister with a prostitute.
And that's why Chris Christie was pushed out of the first transition team
That is.
because he went after Jared's dad.
intrigue.
But the reason why that's interesting is because that's similar to what Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell would do, is that they put you in these weird situations sexually, you know, like with a honeypot. And so Jared Kushner's dad essentially did a honeypot on his brother-in-law to try to help their divorce. So I just think that's kind of weird.
Let's jump to this story from the Daily Caller. Conservative host up and walks off of set of own show when co-host calls her a Nazi.
Who is that?
This is what I want to hear about.
It's really pretty.
It's about time a conservative host said, "I'm not going to stand for these psycho leftists calling us Nazis on the air." What a brave and just very very brave and proud individual.
Thank you.
Well, are we gonna play the clip?
We should.
What did you say that made her say you're a Nazi?
Well, hold on. Tell the story.
Okay, so we were doing a segment reacting to Ryan Girdusky getting kicked off of CNN for making the beeper joke at Mehdi Hassan.
Which was
And
not
this
a bad
is
joke.
this is You're on the Hills Rising.
Correct. This lady, Nomiki Konst, is like a former Bernie activist. I don't know what
lady?
Am I allowed to say that? This lady. But
Are they trans?
No, it's because when I was on with Piers Morgan, I have no idea who she is. She said my name like 5 times in a minute, and I was like, "Why is this lady yelling at me?" And she's like, "This lady."
And she accused him of misogyny for saying that.
For saying this lady? I didn't even see that clip. What?
Oh, you got to watch it. It's
It's so great.
anyway. Continue.
Okay, so we were reacting to this, and she goes on this long tangent about how Ryan Girdusky's problematic for all these fake smears that she was running against him, and he's a personal friend of mine, so I was gonna defend him regardless. But also, the joke was funny, and like, and he was also literally just called a Nazi by Mehdi Hassan. So I don't like the double standard was hilarious. But she keeps like insisting that I condemn Ryan, and I said I'm not gonna do that. And she says, "Well, you want to bring up Mehdi Hassan's problematic history? How about I bring up your Nazi writings from 10 years ago? I'm looking at it right now in Raw Story, but I'm not going to make this personal about you. I'm not going to bring that up." And I was like,
You just did.
first, you just brought it up. And also, what are you talking about? And I know actually what she was talking about because this was a fake smear that was run by Media Matters. When I was in high school, I was dating a Jewish guy. Huge Nazi behavior, by the way. And we used to send jokes to each other. He'd send me jokes about like Catholics, you know, like molesting school kids and altar boys. And I would send him Holocaust jokes. And that was like part of our banter. And someone from Media Matters screenshotted the Holocaust jokes.
Yeah, how did they get these messages? You leaked it?
They got them as soon as I entered the media business when I was like 22 years old. They went through my whole like Twitter history and just screenshotted it for future
And
posterity.
what were you saying? Like, why is there a wooden door in the gas chambers? Like, what were you saying?
Yeah, stuff like that.
What? No. Come on. Like, how did they get access to your social media?
I don't know. They went through all my tweet history and just screenshotted these old tweets before I had a chance to delete them. Because again, I was like 22. I had no intention of being a public figure. I had no intention of working in media. It was kind of an accident. And so then they waited until 2018, which was like 6 or 7 years after this, because I was a teenager at the time. And they posted them in response to me suggesting that AOC and Rashida Tlaib were anti-Semitic. So they were like, look at this hypocrite. She's actually a anti-Semitic, like Nazi person. So she was talking about those tweets, but she didn't read enough of the Raw Story article to know what she was talking about. So anyway, the segment ends, and she immediately starts screeching at me about how I'm a Nazi and I do Nazi writings and Nazi comments, and I don't know how to debate because I always put the burden on her, which I'm pretty sure is how debate works. Like, if you make a claim, you should have to support it with evidence. And I had been on with her for 3 months at that point. This was not the first time we've had issues off air. So I just packed up my stuff and I left. And I told the producers, like, I'm not sitting next to a woman who just called me a Nazi. I'm out.
Good.
But you're still on the show.
Yeah.
So what happens after this?
Well, I mean, there's only so much I can say, but what I will share is that she's not going to be back on the show, from my understanding, from this point. It was suggested that I would have to work with her again, and I told them that that was not happening, and was very clear about that. But one of the things that was crazy about it was I was supposed to be on the Monday before the election with her and Robbie Suave, the main host of the show. And when I made clear that I wasn't going to appear with someone who called me a Nazi again, they actually bumped me from that show instead of her. So I was off that Monday after this incident.
But you're on the show now, and she's gone.
Yeah, so I guess I won.
Yeah. Yes. So I was on Piers Morgan. I don't know who she is. I never heard her before. And so it was
It's really well known to him.
Her name's Nomiki.
Lodge-
Is that how you say her name?
It was who was it? Was it you guys saw that? It was Vinny from PBD, right? Mm-hmm. And because I don't know who they're booking. All I know is I'm sitting here and I can hear things, and I'm staring at a camera. I don't have a screen. And it was Wajhat Ali, her, and me. I went on Piers Morgan's show with was it Brianna Joy Gray? I think it was. I think that's who it was.
Probably.
It was great. It was a normal segment, and after it ended, Piers was like, "Wow, that was really calm." Tim, congratulations on the family. And then Brenna was like, "Congratulations, Tim." And I was like, "Thank you so much." And that was it. And everyone commented like, "That's weird for Piers Morgan." Mm-hmm. So when I went on, that was the second time I went on. I went on the first time. I've done Fox News hits before. I've done whatever TV. I've done MSNBC before and ABC. And it's usually like you sit there, you're very calm, and they'll say, "What say you, sir?" And you'll say, "Well, I think X, Y, and Z, A, B, and C. And if we do this, then maybe we'll see that." And then they go to the next person. "Well, what do you think?" This one, Piers, I don't know, I guess it's what people like on the internet. He asked me the question first, and I said, well, you know, Trump is going to have some difficulties with women, but I think a lot of women will hold their nose and vote for Donald Trump for economic reasons. But there are a lot of men who probably will not vote for a woman. How Kamala gets over that, I'm not quite sure. Then she starts talking, she's screaming, saying Tim Pool's far right, his misogynist male audience, and I'm like, What's happening? Why is she yelling at me? And she was saying a bunch of crazy things that were completely fabricated. She was like, Tim Pool was a COVID denier who got COVID and then tried taking ivermectin. And I'm like, what? Like, none of that is true. She just made it all up. And so what happens is, I said, why is this lady saying my name so much? And then she snapped. She's like, this lady? I have a name. I still don't know.
It's like saying you people. You people.
And she said like, I'm very well known. I'm on the internet.
Yeah, and I was like,
She said, I'm on the internet.
I think so.
I was like, I have no idea who you are.
But this is what she was like every segment on this show. Like, no matter what it was, even if it was something where, like, typically with like usually I can find common ground with plenty of Bernie people on economy stuff. It didn't matter what the segment was. Whatever I said, she was the opposite.
I think
it was nasty.
I think she's a Republican and she likes Donald Trump, and she knows that, you know, she's going to be the villain, so she can go on these shows and say, I'm gonna show them what liberals really are. I will do what must be done. And then, you know, her friend is like, but they'll hate you. They'll call you a libtard. And she's like, but it'll help Donald Trump win.
You're probably
And then she
right.
walks outside. They turn the camera on and she goes, and then Trump wins.
A lot of the comments on the show whenever she was on, not just this segment, would say, I want Nomiki to stay on through Election Day, even though she's so awful, because she's single-handedly helping Trump win.
And you want to see the reaction when Trump wins.
Yeah, well, and here's the thing. She did an electoral map where she had Kamala winning like 340, 350.
No.
Hey, Kyle Kalinske said that he thought Kamala could win Iowa and Florida.
Actually, I want to
She had Texas, Iowa, and Florida. And the saddest thing is she was not on the day after Election Day, so she could grapple with how wrong her map was.
Well, first of all, though, for all the people that were playing at home, there were 10 million missing votes from the previous election. So
No. It's like 6 now.
Is it gone to 6?
Yeah, because they didn't. they're
6 is still a lot.
They're
6
still
million
counting,
less.
Alex.
I don't know. So the population of America is
They're
350. The population of America is roughly 350 million.
So
Right.
there's let's do some quick math. Trump is up 4 million, and Kamala's down 6. So there's 2 million, 2 or 3 million votes.
I think she's like
less
3
votes.
right now. Yeah.
Then in 2020,
Yeah, there's 3 million less votes than in 2020.
it still seems like a lot of missing
Well, actually, I
votes.
can just get the hard number.
No,
Let me just-
because
Well,
it's,
you only need 40,000 in Pennsylvania or whatever. I mean, maybe
it was because they were mailed out last time. The 2020 election was
It's just
novel.
easier for people to vote.
It was like they mailed them out, and then they went out and they ballot
I'll just
harvested.
say this much. Donald Trump, when it came to in-person voting, won all 50 states, even the most liberal states. And when it came to mail-in ballots, Joe Biden won all 50 states. So,
Well,
I mean, I'm just saying.
Well, the thing is, low propensity voters are actually they never know what they're voting for. They never know why they're voting. Even people that are really informed are still mostly running on emotion. That's just kind of how human
it's like a
beings
gut
are.
instinct. And,
Yes.
and part of the Trump campaign strategy was deliberately to target low to mid propensity voters
Yeah.
because, of course, in 2016, one of the big Trump effects was people who had either never voted before or were what they call delinquent voters had come out in droves for him.
That was why they set up the thing with The Undertaker, the podcast he did with the ex-professional wrestlers. They said there's a whole market here of people who would be sympathetic to his views but may not be seen as inherently political or willing to vote most of the time.
Right. And also, just from a campaign strategy point, reaching out to low propensity voters is cheaper and more efficient than trying to change people's mind, which is why I never thought Kamala could win, because her campaign strategy was to get disaffected Republicans. And you have to spend probably twice as much money and knock on someone's door probably 3 times as often for them to flip from a Republican to a Democrat. Whereas if you hit a low propensity voter 2 times, it doesn't cost nearly as much. It doesn't take nearly as much manpower to get those people to come out for you.
And Kamala had no campaign. She had nothing, no policies, because I went to that Kamala Harris rally that Beyonce didn't sing. And
You got gypped.
I got gypped, and not just me, but a lot of single mothers with their kids that weren't able to afford the Beyonce concert when she was actually doing a concert, wanted to see that.
Right.
Beyonce
show,
had a
what they
great
thought.
Oh, a clarification. Looks like the total is about 8 million.
Oh, so I'm right.
That doesn't make sense.
Point
Even
for
still-
the pimp on a blimp.
It was about the fact that there were a bunch of mail out ballots.
Did these places really change their laws related to that much in the past 4 years?
I don't think they mailed ballots out the way they did, because I thought they went by the
states only
sentence.
have mail-in ballots. Like Oregon, it's only mail-in, so you can go vote on the day of the election, but you're just filling out a mail-in ballot and dropping it off.
What I mean is, during COVID they mailed them to people's homes.
I'm sorry.
A lot of states still did
I am
that,
wrong.
though.
I am wrong. I only counted. So keep talking. I'll do the hard.
So I could be wrong, but it's my understanding that in 2020, because of COVID, they mailed ballots out to anyone that was on the census, and then they sent people out to harvest those ballots. That's the way that I thought
it was local and state
4 million.
election officials that
4.1
had
million
changed the
is the
rules
difference.
in order to do that. I don't think that was because voting laws are not federal. They're
Yes,
state,
correct.
right?
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
But I think that I was under the impression, and again, I could be wrong. I was under the impression that the Democrats, or that the because of COVID, they changed things so that way they could mail ballots out to people's homes. Anyone that was on the census, right? Because they had just done the census or whatever, and they mailed them out. And then because of COVID, they had people go out and collect the ballots. Now, I could be
And,
wrong.
well, I guess my point is I don't know how many of those states reversed those rules for 2024 because a lot of them kept the same rules in place.
So 4 million fewer people voted in 2024 than in 2020.
Well, Donald Trump had about the same numbers. I think he went up a few 100,000. But the drastic difference was Kamala. But she had no messaging. I went to that rally. It was all about abortion. It was literally, they would even say, Donald Trump is trying to control your uterus. So,
I mean, that
That's
lie
how it was at the DNC too.
That lie was exactly what they used all their money on Hollywood, all the Hollywood spokespeople that they had talking about. It was all about abortion, even though, again, low info voters might sway someone not realizing that it wasn't anywhere on the ballot anyways, because he'd already said that I am not going to, make any federal claim to any type of abortion ban.
The Democrats also only had about a 4 percentage point advantage on abortion. So they were running on an issue that wasn't a big, money, a big winner for them. Whereas Trump was up double digits on economy and immigration. Those were the top issues for voters. So you can't make up that deficit by just talking about abortion.
And then she kept copying his position. She's like,
No
She's
tax
like,
on
tax on tips. Sounds like a great idea.
Build that wall, make America great again.
We're not doing an EV mandate.
She definitely she said that deportations were on the table, before. I was like,
oh, and she's
wow.
a gun owner, Phil.
Oh yeah,
remember?
she's a
She's
gun
got a
owner.
Glock.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
and she believes in stand your ground laws. In California. Now, granted, she would not actually see any legal repercussions if that did happen. If she were to use a gun to defend herself in her own home, everybody else in California, you're going to jail forever.
As far as I'm concerned, the election was lost when they had the picture of Tim Walz playing Madden, and it's got the perfectly placed bottle of Mountain Dew that was literally just like, "Hello there, fellow gamers."
And the score at halftime was 0-0.
He said AOC loves doing pick sixes. He didn't even use the term right for pick sixes when you.
She knows how to run a pick
Yeah, she
six,
knows how to run a 6 picks. It's not a play you run.
Right.
It's like you have to. It's a turnover where you take the ball from the team and score a touchdown on an interception. So he just doesn't even know the basics of football, and he's supposedly a football coach.
A state championship winning football coach.
No, the thing is, he likely didn't write that.
Yeah, you're probably right,
It reads as fake. The picture reads as fake. You can't get away with that anymore.
Yeah.
For whatever you want to say about Donald Trump, if you don't like him, there is no other presidential candidate in history that can go work at McDonald's and not make it look like he's trying to placate you.
Yeah.
He's the only person who can do that. There is no other personality like him that could pull off something like that.
It is
will say-
hilarious that they put the bottle of Mountain Dew in there.
That was
just over.
I saw that.
The JD Vance thing with they'd call me racist for drinking Diet Mountain Dew.
And and to be fair, the reason I say that is because JD Vance had his own fail. He goes into a donut shop, and it was the most awkward thing I have ever. It was like he had never seen another human being before in his entire life, and I was like, just don't do this. You're great on the debate stage. You're extremely intelligent. Stop trying to look like a normal person. You're not.
Bill Burr had a great bit on SNL where he said Trump goes into this McDonald's. It's the first time he's genuinely happy. He's like, "Is this where they do the fries?" What? And he's right. Yes. Trump was super excited to be there at the McDonald's. It was amazing.
He was.
And then someone posted the meme where they were like, Trump gave me an extra nugget, my 6-piece for less.
My favorite Tim Walz moment, though, was on, I think it was a Thursday or Friday, they launched the Hunters and Anglers for Harris Walz Coalition. And normally when you launch a campaign coalition, by the way, you have a list of prominent people that would be considered a part of that coalition that are going to campaign for you. They did not have a single one of those because, surprise, surprise, Hunters and Anglers don't support Harris Walz. But the next day, Tim Walz goes out for this annual pheasant hunt, the governor's pheasant hunt in Minnesota, and literally cannot figure out how to load his shotgun and has it stuck into his groin as he's fiddling with the shells. And it was incredible.
Did you see when, who was it? Kuntz? Is that how you say his name? The guy was running for Senate, I think,
He
against.
shot a guy.
No. When they, the reporter got hit by bullet fragments
He was running against Josh Hawley.
Right, and he was firing what was an AR-15, 15 feet from steel targets.
Yes, yes.
Dude, please stop.
And then they posted
I'm not a gun guy, and I'm going to tell you, don't do that.
And then they posted it and said, "Great day at the range."
A reporter got struck in the arm and he was bleeding.
Yeah.
And they were like,
They
nah.
almost killed him.
Oh, and it should have been a big red flag, the fact that they were parading out Liz Cheney and all of a sudden loving Dick Cheney. That was desperation as it gets. I mean, that was so desperate.
There's one of our contractors is liberal, fairly liberal, and she was telling us that she saw this really awful commercial in the Midwest that they were running, and then she was like, "Did you guys see it?" And I was like, "Which one? I don't know." And then she was like, I can't remember. It was a really awful Midwest commercial for Kamala. I think that's what did her in. And then I was like, I don't know. I can't think of that. And she's like, yeah, it was some woman. She goes in to vote, And then she like looks at this other woman seductively,
yeah.
and then it's like, lie to your husbands. And she was like, as if all liberal women are battered women who are only voting this way because their husbands forced them to do it.
Again, they don't realize how disconnected they are from the average person. They have no idea because they're DC elites. They don't understand what normal people are like. Every level of that campaign was a failure on trying to connect in some way to normal people. They don't human well.
No.
And then what Tim Waltz, I mean, I know we're just beating a dead horse, but talking about
So
how
fun,
he was
though.
at Tiananmen Square and that he dated that Chinese spy. I mean, like Eric Swalwell, kind of.
Swalwell's like, bro.
White people don't season their tacos.
Yeah, I eat white guy tacos. I mean, he's just such a disaster.
That one really offended me.
Yeah.
Because white people are notorious for killing people to make their food taste better. Like the East India Trading Company is like, we're going to sail around the world for black peppercorn and we'll kill anyone who stands in our way. There's a funny meme where it's like venture capital in the 1500s and it's like 3 dudes in like musketeer outfits and they're like, lend us a ship and muskets and we'll massacre an island of natives to plant nutmeg. It's like, so when he's like, white people, the spiciest thing is pepper. It's like, oh, come on, man. You can't simultaneously say white colonizers are evil and then forget the fact that we try to make food taste better.
Also, if you're a working class white person, like, do not tell me that you did not have a McCormick taco seasoning packet in your house growing up.
Probably still do.
Oh, dude, like
They
everybody
might be
I
3
knew
years
growing
expired,
up.
but they're still in the pantry.
Everybody I knew growing up had allspice, nutmeg, cinnamon, everything, red pepper. I'm like,
Garlic
what are you talking
powder.
about? Yeah,
Yeah.
all of it. It's like you go to the grocery store and there's just everywhere. Saffron, maybe nobody had, I guess.
It's like, yeah, I mean, that's expensive.
A weird one.
Yeah.
All of that was so bad. And it was the camo hat. I'm like, you can't actually think that people are buying this, right?
Or what about when he tried to change the air filter and he's changing that oil? He didn't even do it right. I mean, it was a fake campaign. The people actually paid attention and we got the best result with Donald Trump winning. But I was sweating bullets. I just did not think that they would let Donald Trump be president. And now I'm even more worried that they are going to try to do something to take Donald Trump out. I mean, I hope that doesn't happen, but I think the deep state, or whoever you want to call it, the target has gotten even bigger on Donald Trump's back.
I was 100% on the same page as you. I was like, they're not going to let him win. You know,
we said that like we went off air one day and we're like, yeah, no way.
Yeah, I didn't think. I figured that I thought that it was. I thought the American people would be more impressionable. I thought the media constantly hammering down on the Donald Trump is bad was actually going to be what did it. And to be honest with you, like the whole country did shift to the right, but it wasn't like a huge gigantic shift. You know what I mean?
You know, we're going to go to Super Chats in a second, but I just want to point this out. I invested in BuzzFeed and I made a lot of money.
What do you mean? They're back up now?
So Vivek started buying BuzzFeed, right?
Yes.
And so, here's what happens. I'm on this show, and there have been probably a dozen times since the inception of the show where we see a story, and we're like, oh, wow, look at that company. And then a month later, it's like the stock is up 500%.
We need a Tim stock tracker.
Yeah, and I'm like,
Tim and Nancy.
Or Dan
look.
Dan Crenshaw's the best.
Because we're on the front line of the news reports as they break, I see these stories and then just like shrug, and then a month later I see the stock go up, and I'm like, maybe I should actually invest in this stuff. So I see Vivek Ramaswamy start tweeting how he's going to buy up a bunch of BuzzFeed and change the direction of the company, and I went, okay. And so I went in and I bought a bunch of BuzzFeed, and now I'm up 60%. It's fantastic. 16% in
The
one
rich
day.
get richer, huh?
Hey,
Hoarding all the resources.
I am a proud leftist, partial owner of BuzzFeed.
There you go.
So I am against.
You're progressive.
I actually read
Progressive.
BuzzFeed
That's
every
right.
single day because I get really great ideas for my culture newsletter, because they're always the first to report on the really strange liberal trends before conservative media picks up on it. So I'm an avid BuzzFeed consumer.
Hey, and I'm not even saying this to kiss Tim's derriere, but you know what also was probably a huge difference is the fact that Donald Trump did do a strategy where he went on alternative media platforms. And I
Totally.
think that really changed.
What was the first podcast that he did?
I think it was the Nelk
Nelk Boys.
I think
The Nelk Boys?
I think so.
But
When did he go on the
interviewed
Nelk?
him?
When did he go on the Nelk Boys?
He went on Theo Vaughn's
It was in
show.
the summer, I think.
Wow.
I think that did make
Oh,
a
wow.
difference for sure. Because, I mean, legacy media, whatever you want to call it, is dying. The mainstream media is dying. Their views stink.
Clearly.
They're firing everybody. It's only going to be a matter of time before it all just collapses. So,
I mean, all of that should be a requirement anyways, because as they showed you before, like whenever Kamala would want to do any type of interview, she wants to curate the question. She wants
build
to
a
have
$100,000 set.
build
Which was a payoff, by the way.
And the
I think
logo-
she did with Al Sharpton.
and the logo was off center.
Yeah, that set couldn't have costed $100,000.
no, it
But-
cost 20, and then the extra 80 was a thank you.
They do that and they curate the questions. They have complete control over everything. And like I said, nowadays people can spot fake from a mile away. It's not the same thing as Trump or JD Vance going on a podcast and saying 3 hours, let's go, let's talk about whatever you want.
Well, remember, there was also a podcaster that Kamala was supposed to do, or she did record it. It was a Arab podcaster.
Oh, that's right.
And he
Said bacon was a spice.
Yeah, he never released the episode because she refused beforehand to talk about Israel at all. And then she said bacon was her favorite spice, and he was
like, whoa, no, we can't do that. Say something else, and then she was like, what did she say after that?
She was like, "But I like bacon." I think she doubled down.
she said something else. And he's like, this is boring.
The Arab guy said that to her.
Yeah.
He's like,
And
Trump
he's
with
The
I'm done.
sitting vice president.
Yep.
See, that's another thing. Is I don't like Kamala Harris, but if she walked in this room, I'd be respectful because she is the vice president. Like I would probably treat her
So-
nicer than AOC.
If they came to me and they were like, would you do interview with Kamala Harris?
Better say yes.
Well, of course, but I know it's going to be bad.
yeah.
There's no way. So listen, it's one thing to go on Joe Rogan and get a one-on-one with Joe where Joe will try to be respectful. It's another thing to come in this room where today we have 6 people. Kamala Harris sitting down in this room, like imagine if we had another chair and she's sitting next to Alex, we'd all just be like, no matter what she said, she'd get shut down. There's no way she'd handle anything like that.
And she wouldn't be prepared for the questions.
This is why
because
liberals.
we wouldn't ask what the mainstream media would ask.
So a good example of I think why liberals won't come on Timcast IRL. Some do. Don't get me wrong. But we had one guy on. I'll just shout him out, Matt Binder, and I've got Seamus over here, and me. And Seamus is staunch pro-life. I'm traditional pro-choice, and he's modern pro-abortion. Whatever. He's arguing with me that I'm pro-life when I was literally arguing the traditional Democrat position on abortion, and he was saying women should be able to get abortions up to 9 months, and I was like, well, that's crazy. Seamus is like, I'm just not going to say anything. And so these liberals are like, they think arguing with me is like, they think this, I'm conservative. And I'm like, as I'm having this argument with them, I'm like, it would be really interesting to see if you actually argued with someone who was conservative, because I'm not. But that's the thing. If they come on this show, they say Tim Pool is far right, and I'm like moderate liberal. And then
they don't understand the Overton window is shifted as far as it has.
I don't know that it's. I don't know that I agree that it's shifted. I would argue that take the Overton window, right, and then have like a Sasquatch hand grab the left side and just pull the metal until it's bent and jagged and sticking out to the far left and no longer looks like a window. And you've got some weird. The institutions accept this weird wokeness, but regular people rejected it. That's why we are where we are now.
Your position that makes us politically homeless in a lot of respects. Meaning that we don't have a traditional ideology or party that really aligns with those beliefs the way that they would have been the Democrat Party back in the 90s.
It's 90s or early aughts Democrats. That's all it is.
Did you see Alan Lichtman came back to X?
Did he already?
Already? It's back?
He's like, I'm going to Blue Sky. I'm deactivating my account. And like a day later, he was back. I tell you, they look. Trump supporters and conservatives tried to go to Parler, and Parler got screwed over. They tried to go to Gab and Getter, and it doesn't work. And then liberals are like, we're going to Threads. Didn't work.
Nope.
They were like, look how big it is. They all came back. Then they're like, now we're going to Blue Sky, and it doesn't work.
Did you all see this this breakdown of the audience or the users of X that the way it's changed since Elon took over? It was like 65% Democrat, and now it's evenly split. It's like
48,
46
47,
to 45.
something like that.
Interesting. Well, we're going to go to Super Chat. So if you haven't already, would you kindly smash that like button, share the show with everyone you know, and my friends. For those watching, if before Thanksgiving, or by Thanksgiving, I should say, we sign up 5,000 members, it's a heavy lift, but we've actually done it before in less time. Alex Stein will go to Antarctica.
And I don't want to go, so you would be punishing me. So you would be trolling me. The audience would be trolling me.
Because I asked him if he's like, I don't want to go. Alex will go. And I said, what if we signed up 3,000 members?
I said, no way. That's not enough. 3,000 is nothing.
And then I said, okay, 5,000 new members, you'd do it. And then he's like, well, now I have to do it if that happens.
Yeah, because that would pay for the trip. And then, I feel that I would be obligated to go if you got that many subscriptions, yes. And I don't want to go.
I don't think we're going to hit that number. I don't know.
Well, who knows? We'll see. It just depends on
I don't want to get anybody's hopes up. Everybody signs up, and then we're like, look, we don't get to that number. You're a member of Timcast. Not the worst thing in the world. Join our Discord server because we do members-only shows, and the Discord server's got like-minded individuals. You can hang out. You can communicate. You can help organize. But if we do hit that number, we're gonna use those funds to send Alex on this trip to Antarctica.
Some
Please
video.
just buy some coffee from Tim with my name on it, please. Buy the Primetime Grind. Don't buy any of the other. Just buy the
How do you
cast.
not want to go to Antarctica? I don't get it.
I know everybody says it because I'll tell you exactly why. You fly from Dallas to Chile, Santiago, Chile. Then you got to go from Santiago, Chile to Punta Arenas. And then from Punta Arenas, it's a 4-hour flight, not a boat. And then you land on the ice shelf in Antarctica. I don't trust these people. I don't trust the Boeing Southwest Airlines.
And then
what
do you think happens when you get there? You're expecting the sun not to set?
I would think that the sun would set, but what the sun's supposed to do is like what it does in the north, but during the wintertime there, it does a full circle. So if you see it set, then it wouldn't conform to the globe model, disproving the globe. But
So wait. Right now, what you should see in Antarctica is the sun is not setting.
the sun,
It's summer.
it's going to make a full circle around
Right.
your head. So yeah, it would be light the whole time.
So that proves the flat Earth is wrong.
It would prove it. Well, I mean, there's other different people that say the model is this. And I'm just telling you what people say. They say, oh, well, it could be refraction from the firmament. Oh, there's all kinds of different excuses. Listen, everybody's like, I want to go to Antarctica. It'd be so cool. I'd rather go to Cancun, Mexico. I'd rather go to San Antonio with some big booty Latinas. I'd rather go to Galveston Beach. Like, there's a lot of places.
I don't think they're going to sign up as many people to send you to Cancun.
If we
Mexico.
get only 1,000 new members, we will send Alex to Cancun.
And I'll live stream the whole thing, 7 days live stream. And that's the other thing. It's an 11-day trip. I mean, I'm not that cool, but believe it or not, guys, I have crap to do. I mean, 11 days is a long
got a cat,
time.
you know what I mean?
I got a cat. I got a girlfriend that I love. I got a dad. I got.
All right.
Let's
Let's read some super chats. Mr. Batalon says, hey, Tim and crew, what is your take on Pokemon Go using its users to make a large-scale geospatial model? No idea. What are they doing?
We weren't following that, neither that or the Pokemon leaks, but it sounds like something straight out of like Facebook building models out with with the profiles with like ghost profiles and stuff like that. I mean, does that shock you at all that you would give up your data and your geolocation information if they wouldn't use it for something nefarious?
All right, what do we got? Alpha Turkey says, Primary Lawler Day 2. And Elon, how would you feel if you didn't eat breakfast today? Yeah, people were ragging on Elon quite a bit.
Why?
We were having
Christian Nation thing.
Yes, but it wasn't just the Christian Nation thing. It was he was saying if the founding fathers wanted this nation to be a Christian nation, why didn't they explicitly state it? And the first thing I'll say is people misunderstand. They think when you get someone who's Christian or someone who reads the text of the founding fathers and they say it's a Christian nation, a first order thinker is assuming you're talking about a Christian theocracy where the government is like literally part of the church. And that's not what they're saying. They're saying that the principles of this nation, the rights guaranteed, were founded using Christian principles, which is true because the country was like 99% Christian. And so from that, people are like, Elad can't understand multi-ordered thinking. That's why they asked that question. How would you feel if you didn't eat breakfast yesterday?
Did you know that they found a bunch of bones in Ben Franklin's London house?
No.
Children's bones.
I knew you were.
They did. No, I'm serious. Type it in right now. Ben Franklin bones.
We'll read some more super chats.
You guys hate my conspiracies. Look into it.
But there was another, and I'm not trying to rag on Elad or anything, but another portion was I was trying to explain to him like there's like the fish in the water argument that no one's going to, if literally everyone's a Christian, they all agree on their morals, they're not going to write down, hey, we all agree that we're Christians, right? Because they are. And I was like, it's for the same reason in law, we don't say this law only applies to humans. It doesn't say like, if a human being does this thing, it is a crime because we understand dogs are not subject to human law. We have dominion over them. So I made the point about the discovery of air as matter and not just void. And he said air was never discovered. So I said, okay, well, the discovery of zero. And he said zero was never discovered. And then everybody at the table was just groaning and everybody in the chat was going off on him. Sorry, Elad. I'm not trying to rag on you, but that's what happened. All right, let's go. 50 says, Tim, you say that the ATF form to buy a gun is unconstitutional because it infringes on the Fifth Amendment right to not self-incriminate. People self-incriminate all the time after their Miranda warning. Would a similar warning alleviate fifth concern on the form? No, because if you go on a form and self-incriminate, you can't buy a gun. If the form says, okay, we all have a right to keep and bear arms. You have a right to remain silent. You have Miranda rights, whatever. The form says, did you commit a crime? Well, the Fifth Amendment says I don't have to self-incriminate. Well, then you can't have a gun. What do you mean? I have a right to keep and bear arms. No, not unless you self-incriminate. Contradiction there. Giving someone a warning saying you have a right not to self-incriminate, and if you don't, you can't have a gun, is infringing upon your Second Amendment right. All right, let's go. John Galt says, Elad was mistaken last night with reference to George Washington's faith. Washington was an Anglican. He was very reserved about his faith, but he was a Christian. That is correct. We corrected him on that. He said he wasn't, and then he was like, George Washington wasn't, and then we Googled it and looked it up, and it was like, he very much was. All right. Gitch says, today's Culture War podcast was pretty wild. Was just your theory is wrong because says thing. Yeah, well, your theory is wrong because says thing. Pretty funny stuff.
It was entertaining. Everybody needs to go watch the Flat Earth debate on the Culture War channel, Timcast.
Raymond G. Stanley Jr. says, let's go. Let's get Alex to Antarctica. So hopefully by Monday, we're going to have a meter on the website showing how many people have signed up to get Alex to go to Antarctica. I got to be honest, I don't know if we're going to make it. We only have 2 shows next week.
Yeah.
So we have tonight. I'm going to be doing my morning show tomorrow for the weekend, and I will shout this out. Alex, really?
Oh, great. I'm just sad, dude. I'm nervous. I'm going to go to my
Nervous?
cats, dude. They're going to kill me.
No, but we're going to cover those costs. We're going to figure it out for you. So then Monday morning shows in IRL, Tuesdays mornings in IRL. We're going to be promoting this, being like, guys, become members. And if we hit 5,000, and we have about a week to do it, and Wednesday included too, but there's no shows on Wednesday, then Alex is going to Antarctica.
Yes, I am.
Because you challenged me.
I did originally. That was like
and I said
3
done.
years ago. I know. That was
No, it was not, and not even that. It was like a month ago.
Well,
Or 2
that,
months
but I'm
ago.
saying the first time I ever came on here, I don't know if you saw the clip, somebody clipped it. Antarctica came up and you said you would send me. The first time I was ever on here, you didn't even know me. You're like, I'll send you to Antarctica. So
Yeah, I remember.
it was like prophecy.
And so now I figured, like, we were talking before the show, and I'm like, I told him I'd give him money. I said I messaged the chat. They said they'd do it. How can we create that pressure he can't deny? And I said, what if 3,000 people sign up to get you to go? He said, no, 5,000. And I said, done. And I said, for sure?
Yes,
Just,
and I would.
we will do this.
If you guys
So you have to go to timcast.com, click join us. But it'll be easier by Monday, hopefully, because we asked our developer to make a meter to track it. And once you can see that on the site, and it'll say, like, send Alex.
That helps. The goal helps it.
Right.
Yeah.
And then we'll see. All right. Jason Dixon says, Tim, breaking news. Trump has announced Sebastian Gorka as senior director for counterterrorism.
Is that true?
Yeah. I saw it all over Twitter. Cool.
Well, what is Gorka's background again, though? What does he know about terrorism?
He's
I'm not
the
even saying
Dragon
it
of
to
Budapest.
Is that what it was? Like, I know, but I forget what his job was in the last administration. Didn't he do? He worked for Trump.
Wasn't he just like an advisor?
Oh, I guess. I don't know.
I don't remember.
I don't know. I feel like maybe don't put a radio broadcaster in front of that. For that.
Eli McInnes says, you have to call Alex's trip to Antarctica Primetime High Jump Tour.
I'll do it. Primetime high jump.
Wasn't High Jump North Pole, though?
That was Operation High Jump. No, actually, I think that was Antarctica for Operation High Jump. But I could be wrong.
I think that was North Pole.
Might be. I don't know. Look it up.
Let's figure it out. It was Navy Operation Antarctica. Oh, wow. Look at that. Yeah. High Jump was a Navy Operation Antarctica in 46 and 47.
I'm right twice tonight, Tim. I was right about the discrepancy in votes and the Antarctica Operation High Jump.
No, I corrected you on the votes.
Well, it doesn't
4
matter.
million.
Neither here nor there. Let's just go to Antarctica, babe. Let's go. Baby, I love you.
All right. We'll
I
grab
love
some
you.
more
I'm
super
sorry.
chats. All right. Devin Porter says, has anyone ever seen Rachel Maddow and Michael Knowles in the same room? I haven't. We did have this, when Michael Knowles came here the first time, there was a strange thing that happened where he walked in and we were like, we've got waivers, someone's got to sign up. And he was like, do you have a bathroom that I could use? And we were like, for sure.
That's a good impression.
And when he walked out, when the door opened, Rachel Maddow walked out, and we were all confused. Rachel Maddow ran back in, closed the door, and then quickly opened it again, and it was Michael Knowles again. And we were like, whoa, that was strange,
I thought you were going to say that he blew up the bathroom in his stomach.
No. Sam Cedar, and I only say this, not to drag the guy, but on the culture when he was here, we are live, and he goes, "Sorry about your toilet." And I was like, "Why?" And he's like, "I broke it." And I was like, "Did you clog the toilet?" And he was like, "Well, it won't flush." And I was like, "Why are you saying this live on the show?"
Sam Cedar clogged up your toilet?
Well, he said he couldn't get it to go down.
Wow.
And I was like,
fiber in his
I was
diet.
like, dude, it's because we have one. It's like one of those futuristic low flow, like controlled sensor toilets. It's not sold as an eco toilet, it's sold as like a fancy Japanese like ass warmer, but it uses minimal water. We're on well. I was like, whatever. We have water here. We're next to the river. We're not in a drought. Well, actually, West Virginia's in a drought. But I'm like, we're not super worried about that. But I was like, this is the problem. It's this low flow thing. So when you press it to flush, it doesn't go. And then you got to press it again, and then it doesn't go. And you press it 5 times, and now you've used twice the water you would on a regular toilet. But anyway, on the show, he brought that up, and I was like,
You could have said that off air, bro. That's all he had to say.
I don't know why he would tell on himself like that.
I don't know. Maybe, I mean, it is funny.
Does he have a humiliation fetish?
Yo, is Sam a homosexual? I'm not saying.
No, he's
this.
married and he has
he's
kids.
married. Okay, I didn't know.
Yeah.
Maybe in like the homosexual community, it's
I
cool to break a toilet.
think he knew that by bringing it up, we'd talk about him.
So that's what I mean. He wants to be talked about that bad.
He literally said on the show, after faking outrage about abortion, once he was done faking his outrage, he goes, "That's the clip that I was trying to get."
He said that.
He said it.
Just
It's
broke the fourth wall. That's the clip I want.
Yep. It's in the shot. And I'm like, okay, I knew that's what you were doing. That's the whole point. Because people were telling me like he was very just like calm and boring, like the whole show. Like not boring, but like he was very just calm and kind of like, yeah, you know, whatever. And then at some point he went off and he was like, "You disgusting." And then he stops and goes, "That's the clip I was trying to get." And we were like, okay. And that's the clip he'll use on his show. He knows none of his viewers are going to watch this show. I mean, it's pretty smart if you think about it. He's like, the people who watch the show will never watch Tim Pool's show. I can say literally whatever I want. It works.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to make a viral clip. Did it go viral? Did that clip go viral? Did it do really well?
I don't know. I don't watch the show.
Yeah.
And I think most people who watch this don't watch his show either. He knows about the bifurcation, and he's like, he literally said on the show, he's like, "Tim, if I make a video about you, I can convince 200,000 people to listen to a breakdown of Social Security policy." He's like, "So that's why I just talk about you." And I was like, uh-huh. So he knows his viewers aren't interested or smart enough to discuss deep policy, but they love gossip and drama. And he admits it. That's why he wanted that clip, so he could make probably 3 or 4 viral clips where it's him yelling. And then, you know, he can then do whatever, I don't know, make money, do what he wants to do. Well, bravo. You know, he's a grifter. Sean Vauthier says if Elon bought MSNBC, he could stream top shows from X, such as Vivek and Elon Doge podcast, Tucker, Alex Jones, etc. Thoughts?
I mean,
He'd have a cable TV channel nobody would watch.
Yeah, I don't think that's, I don't think it's probably not worth it. I mean, he's got more people watch X than anything else. So it'd be money better spent just to advertise these particular, any podcast that he wants people to see. Actually, all he has to do is just put them on his page, retweet them on his own X feed, and they'll get 10 times the viewership.
Well, that's the thing. Cable news only gets money from advertisers. So, I mean, the idea that you're going to have a special group of advertisers willing to go on Elon's MSNBC channel, I mean, I don't see him making much money off of that.
I really feel like the only value in it is for the lulz.
Mm-hmm. Which is a totally fair and valid reason.
All right. SD says, just put in my coffee order and renewed my membership. It'd be great if you had a huge Christmas episode with a whole bunch of different people like the one you did when you guys were all in the trailer. It's impossible to do holiday shows. So when we first started doing all this stuff, I was like, I'm not taking any days off. I don't care. I will work on Thanksgiving. I will work because like I'll work in the morning and then we'll go eat. The problem is there's a lot of other people who don't want to do that and they have holidays and I respect that, but you can't get guests. So you're basically telling everybody skip your holiday. Nobody wants to. And then you call guests and you're like, do you want to skip your holiday? Like, you're nuts. So the whole Christmas week we are off, but we will be at AmFest live on stage Friday night. It's going to be epic. Super excited. Shout out to Charlie Kirk for having us on for the 3rd year. Because I was like, we did 2 years in a row, and I'm like, I hit up Charlie. I was like, should we make this? Like, we'll come again. And he was like, let's go. And I'm super excited to do it.
America Fest is awesome. People, if you can go, especially if you're a college student, I mean, it's fun for all ages, but it's awesome.
We're trying to get Pop Culture Crisis there too.
Yeah,
I think,
we're gonna work we're gonna try and figure out logistics on Monday if that's possible.
yeah, because for being on stage for Timcast, we have a big production company already there. That's going to
Remember we got that guy fired?
You did.
I feel terrible about that. Or it was a woman, I think.
Yeah, we had this bit where we were like, we're going to have Alex jump up on stage, and then the security guy, it was supposed to, like, he was invited on the stage, he was supposed to come.
Yeah, the security was in on it. Just so people know.
But so I guess the company was mad that it looked like he got past the security, and the security looked incompetent or something.
And they fired her.
Wow. Well, anyway, you know, we're trying to get Pop Culture Crisis set up there as well. The difference is we have to build that studio, so we have to get equipment to Arizona. All right, but make sure if you go to castbrew.com right now for your coffee, everything until Monday at midnight is 30% off, because I wanted you guys to be able to have coffee by Thanksgiving. Not everybody can, but if you put in those orders now, you may get it before Thanksgiving, and that would be epic. And there you go. 30% off everything. Buy it all. Let's see. Colin Stevens says, Tim, you are wrong. Phil Sokoloff was the man who stopped beef tallow, not vegetarians. Look it up. I don't think I said that vegetarians got it pulled. I said McDonald's won't go back because there are vegetarians and there are Hindus, and so they have a bigger market share. But I think the story was someone sued over it. Is that what it was?
Yeah, I think the problem was there was litigation, and that's how you get stuff done in the United States.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he got heart disease from it and then sued them saying it caused problems. Is that what it was?
Mm.
All right. We will grab some more super chats. Moonboy says, single issue, one-page bills. No more omnibus bills.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed, indeed.
Mm-hmm.
Penguin Friend says, buy MSNBC and just simulcast, Timcast, and other podcasts to hit more normies. So the MSNBC is probably going to sell for, I don't know, a ridiculous amount of money. It's got to be like 60, 70 million or something. The reason why Rachel Maddow gets paid what she gets paid is because they don't need ads. They have carriage fees. So MSNBC has got existing contracts with cable companies, because the cable companies are basically what they do is they say, okay, a lot of people like MSNBC and we want to sell cable subscriptions. If we tell them MSNBC is included, they're more likely to subscribe. We'll give you X amount of dollars to be a part of this because we have X amount of users. The problem now is MSNBC is losing viewers, so they could get dropped from cable networks.
Well, that's what happened to OAN. OAN actually was really doing really well, and then they got dropped from their carriage package, and just it really hurt them.
Mavro says, thanks for having the Culture War podcast today. Watching, what does it say? Wit at it? Is that what the guy's name is?
Witsit?
Witsit. Yeah, watching Witsit get stun locked by simple questions was very funny.
It was entertaining. People should go watch it.
Yeah, and someone asked me, they're like, so you basically had an astronomer against two flat earthers? I was like, no. What was what's Robert?
Robert Sanginis. He's not a flat earther.
Yeah, no,
He's a geocentrist, though. He thinks he believes in God, that God created the earth and that we're the center. But there's actually a picture. It's called the cosmic microwave background that they took. And if you look at this background, Earth wasn't supposed to be in the center of it. It was in the center of it. So, you know.
He believes that the Earth is the center of the universe and is not moving.
Yes. He believes in a stationary Earth.
Yeah.
It sounds crazy, but we didn't even get into it. But Einstein even said that either we're stationary and the sun, moon, and stars are moving, or either we're stationary and the sun, moon, and stars are moving, or the sun, moon, and stars are basically stationary and we're the one that's spinning. So I don't know. That was Einstein that said that. So there's just different schools of thought that have different perspectives of the universe, and it's interesting to talk about it.
Bonjour says, Tim, I just uploaded a short clip to give an answer to your question about the sun in your flat earth debate. Glad to learn Alex is on the path for truth. Condemnation before investigation is the highest form of ignorance. Einstein. So I flew to New Zealand twice. And both times I flew out of Los Angeles, and the plane flew in a straight line.
Why'd you go to New Zealand twice? You Lord of the Rings guy?
I interviewed Kim.com.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And Gareth Morgan. He's a funny New Zealand guy. He and his wife, they rode their motorcycles through North Korea and through the DMZ into South Korea. It was a big deal. And actually, it's I think it's like one of my biggest Vice documentaries. Let me see.
Kim.com's awesome. I mean, you know, what was it? Download.com. What was his website where you could illegally stream everything?
Oh, it's not. So this is I field produced this Vice doc's got 5.7 million views. So actually, I think my Kim Doc. I'll show you the Kim.com on Vice. It's got man, back in the day 8.1. Okay, the Kim.com one was big. These are the things I went to New Zealand for. So 8.1 million 10 years ago. Me
Mega
visiting.
Upload, that's what it was.
That was fun. Those were
Was
were fun
Kim
times.
nice? Was he cool?
Oh, he's so cool. He's such a rad dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when I flew there, you depart from Los Angeles and you can see the direction you're leaving when you're flying. You look out the window of the plane, and we didn't. So when you look at the map of flat Earth, if I were to have flown south from Los Angeles, I would have to have then stopped and then turned directly right for that to make sense, or have flown slightly west-northwest. And I'm like, yeah, we didn't do that. We didn't fly west-northwest to leave from Los Angeles to get to New Zealand based on the flat Earth map. We flew south, and then if you look at the Google Earth, I'm like, yeah, it's a straight line from Los Angeles to New Zealand. So the Earth is round.
Google emergency landings on flat Earth.
All right, we'll grab some more super chats. John says, it doesn't matter. The left is full of bleeding hearts. Even if it hurts them, they will go blue no matter who. For years, they've been against hunting, against 2A, never mind if a deer causes car wrecks. I mean, this is a big problem out here.
Yeah.
We have
So many deer.
really bad.
yeah, and there's a lot of accidents.
Deer graveyard on the roads here.
Yep.
Serge
And-
has PTSD.
And and then a couple years ago, the deers were starving, and so there were a whole bunch of gaunt, sickly, disgusting.
Why
deer.
were they starving?
There was there was an issue.
Too many deer.
Yeah, there were
usually.
too many, not enough food. The crazy thing is, if you look at the tree line, like on our property, it's all the same height because the deer walk up and eat the leaves and mow them to a certain height, and then once all the leaves are gone and there were too many deer, they're like standing around all gaunt and sickly, and then they're walking in the road and they're causing problems. So it used to be back in the day that wolves would keep the deer populations in check. Now there aren't any. Humans have taken over. Humans need to hunt to keep the deer populations at the safe level that deer need to be at. Otherwise, look, with humans and hunting, it shall be perfectly balanced, as all things should be. Yeah.
Thanos is correct.
The deer will know nothing but full bellies and peace.
But
This is part of the problem is that just gun ownership and gun ownership and self-sufficiency have both been demonized. Like you literally get called a terrorist if you want to be able to do things independently of the government or independently of like the cities and stuff.
And you are correct. There is a certain level of their bleeding heart nature completely ignores their own future existence. They don't have any interest in that because they will do that until the end of time.
Yeah. They only have the ability to see short-term suffering.
Yeah.
They can't see that, like they see the deer that gets killed or shot, the buck that gets shot and eaten. They see that and they're like, oh, the poor thing, blah, blah, blah. But they don't think about the fact that the overpopulation of deer, that one deer can impregnate many, many, many doe. And they don't see that all those babies need to be fed, and like all the fawns need to be fed, all those does need to be fed. So it's a very good thing to keep the population of bucks low because it doesn't take very many males to impregnate a bunch of females.
All right. Justice Skeptic says, how do I buy a step-on snack skateboard? My friends, you go to boonieshq.com. Go to the store, and you can get your very own step-on snack and find out skateboard. We have four sizes, 775, 8, 825, and 85. You want to pull that one up, Serge? boonieshq.com, and you can get your very own for those that are asking. And we sold out 2 full batches of I think we've sold 800. No, how many have we sold of these? What did we sell? 400 of them?
Did you see the board that sold out that had a naked picture of Kim Kardashian on it? It was
No.
viral.
But if you want a board with a picture of a booby on it, do you want a booby, Alex?
I like boob.
That is a blue-footed booby. It's a bird.
Is that in Antarctica?
The Galapagos. And they don't fear humans, so they walk around and they're very doofy, and everybody loved it. We sold out of these, too. They're all back in stock, by the way. So for those that are asking. My friends, you must smash the like button. Share the show with everyone you know. Head over to boonieshq.com. Of course, we have stickers in the store. You can get Step on Snack and find out stickers and boobies stickers. But also head over to timcast.com. You go there. You click Join Us. Sign up to become a member because we're tracking it. And if before Thanksgiving we get 5,000 new members, Alex Stein is going to Antarctica. We're going to put them on a plane. We're going to take care of them. We're going to buy them fancy outfits and get all that gear. Get him a good camera so he can film everything.
I was gonna say, you're gonna send like some poor videographer with him who will not get any of the great gear and
No, I'll probably have to.
like get your own jacket. No.
We're going to get him.
run the camera.
We're going to get him
I
a
can do
gimbal
that.
with a GoPro.
Okay.
You know, no one's better at this than Alex Stein. He does this all, for a living.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I can film myself all day long, so I'm not too worried about that. But I'm just also worried about the government trying to kill me on the way there because they know that I'm going to expose the truth about the shape of the earth. So there's a lot going on. But if you guys subscribe, 5,000 of you, I'll be heading straight to the South Pole.
All right, everybody. You can follow me on X and Instagram at Timcast. Share the show with everyone you know. Amber, do you want to shout anything out?
Yeah, please. My book, The Snowflakes Revolt, How Woke Millennials Hijacked American Media. And then check out my shows Rising at the Hill and Free Media at Reason.tv. And subscribe to The Spectator at thespectator.com. Thanks.
Guys, if you want to follow me, I am on Instagram and on Twix at Brett Dasovic. On both of those platforms, please check out Pop Culture Crisis. Me and Mary are live 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, noon Pacific. We have a lot of fun over there. A lot of politics is very depressing and dark. We are the opposite of that. You should join us.
Alex Stein.
Well, Mary Morgan is very white, so they are the opposite of dark. Guys, go follow Primetime with Alex Stein YouTube channel. Go do that, but also buy some coffee because I don't know if Tim's gonna let me leave if we don't sell some dang coffee. So just help a brother out. Go buy one bag.
Castbrew.com.
Castbrew.com. You see how Tim yells at me?
He sold about less than
half. He keeps bringing up that I sold less than half.
Yeah.
Certainly not Ian.
Yeah.
Ian sold. This is kind of crazy. Ian's Graphene Dream sold 5,350 bags. I was like, I hit up Ian and I was like, bro, you sold out. Like it's gone. That's crazy.
It's fake.
So
news.
we were like, we need to expand this into K-Pods and whole bean and just get it going because people love Ian's Graphene Dream.
They do, and I love Ian. But yeah, guys, support me. Go follow my YouTube channel and send me to Antarctica. Go subscribe right now, timcast.com.
I am Phil That Remains on Twix, where you can subscribe to my Twix page. I am Phil That Remains Official on Instagram. The band is All That Remains. You can check out our new video for Forever Cold. You can check out the 3 other videos we put out this year. Let You Go, No Tomorrow, and Divine. They're all available on the YouTube, Amazon Music, Apple Music, Spotify, Pandora, and Deezer. And don't forget, The Left Lane is for Crime.
I am back tomorrow morning at youtube.com/TimCastNews with segments for the day. Check it out, and we will see you all there.